What's up, everybody? It's Wes, Andy, and Hank.
Wow.
We are back.
It is time.
I can't tell you how excited I am to
We are batch.
Yes. I should have thought of that. We are batch. Look at the three of us. We're so batchy. Beardy as ever.
Beard as ever. Yep.
Glad to have the band back together, by the way.
Totally.
It's been a long time. Almost a year. Almost.
Has it really been Sundays?
The end.
No.
Season 2. Well, it's been definitely well over 6 months.
Yeah, but last one was Ahsoka, right?
Oh, sorry. I was just speaking about Fan Batch.
Fan Batch was.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
No. We had Ahsoka. Oh, we already got a comment. Facebook user. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah's here. Hello from the UK. I just finished my first rewatch of the season 3 episodes.
Excellent.
Sarah, nice to have you along. Thanks for tuning in.
Excellent.
Yeah. We are back. It is a Sunday. We are in a special time slot. It's 1 o'clock, just after 1 o'clock Eastern time here in Canada. And we will be reverting back to our regular Sunday night time at 6 p.m. And we'll be here with you every Sunday right up until the 5th of May because the final episode streams earlier that week. So yeah, you got to put up with us for a couple more months. I hope that's okay with everybody.
And then I guess there's barely any downtime before the Acolyte.
So that just kind of caught me off guard. Did we know that was coming sooner than later?
I did not know it was coming.
I mean, I knew it was this. They've been very cryptic though. 2024, mid 2024.
Yeah.
2024. So
I mean, I'm excited for the Acolyte. I don't think I'm as excited for that as I am for Skeleton Crew.
Goonies in space. I mean, that's just my kind of marketing.
I'm excited to be here for the Bad Batch, and it's been a long time since I've been able to use this button, but I think it is time that we revisit an old show staple with Bad Star Wars jokes. I didn't prepare one this week, but you both say you have one. So, do we want to unleash them both?
I don't know.
You go first because.
All right. I got one for you. Why did the Millennium Falcon fly better after The Force Awakens? Because it was Hans free.
Oh. Wireless. Nice. Well, I actually didn't write a joke this week. I dropped the tech on that one.
Oh.
My vision.
There we go.
Wrong
Emotional damage.
Yeah. We are going to talk about tech. I actually just read something today that made me go,
glimmer of hope.
Yeah, glimmer of hope. And I hope that it's not played. Well, don't pull up my heartstrings, Lucasfilm. You've already done it enough when you killed my boy. You've already killed him once. Don't kill him emotionally.
Oh, this is it.
Look at Disney. They've killed Thanos, 9 times already?
Oh, that's true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So this is how it's going to work today. I'm going to take the lead with episode 3.1. That's confined. And then depending on how long we take, we'll maybe take a short break. And then it's over to Hank for Paths Unknown. And we're bringing it home with Andy on 3.3 Shadows of Atlantis. Which, in my opinion, is the most exciting of the three. I guess that being said, let's get
to the good straw.
Yeah, really. Let's get with our first impressions. And when I say first impressions, let's just talk about the 3 episodes as an arc. Just lightly scratch the surface. If you had to summarize all 3 episodes, what do you guys think?
we're in the dark phase right now.
Dark.
Like
Yeah.
literally the entire 3 episodes are like the darkest episodes past that one tomb one
Oh
that
yeah.
we've seen in this series so far.
Yeah.
Like tonally dark.
Tonally dark. Yeah. I used a lot of editing on my slides to bring out images.
I brightened almost all of the images.
Almost all of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of put it this way. I did prepare something here. I said, once again, Lucasfilm has hit us with a multi-part opening that as a whole works better than the sum of its parts. I feel like the first episode, Confined, is probably the most boring, if you can use that term, while the second episode does build some excitement by introducing a new character. And then finally, the third episode delivers the most action, but yet it only makes it feel like a mid-season episode. Like I didn't really get like out of it. I was like, oh, okay, we're moving.
Yeah. I feel like they are building them one at a time on a big script, like, and they're chopping them where they can for time because they probably have this linear, and they can edit to suit that. And I feel like the same as last time. I think they went, we're gonna, or either that, or I mentioned in the chat, they might be testing these with test audiences.
Oh, that's yeah.
And so maybe they're going, okay, we're gonna right, like if you just air that first episode, you're like, okay.
Yeah, I would if they had have just given us the first episode, I would have been disappointed. I'm not gonna lie there.
I mean, not terribly. Like it works in conjunction with the other 3 for sure.
It does. It does.
And there's a lot of exposition, and so there's that too. But I just felt like it's like, are they? I feel like my camera is just slowly sliding downward.
Technical issues. Wouldn't be us if there wasn't a technical issue, by the way.
Oh, there we go. Can't slide now.
Sarah says it's a superb start to the season. Very dark and oppressive. Couldn't agree more. Tonally, they've really set it. It's doom and gloom. Like it's all around doom and gloom.
And I think we push the art form forward again. I think there's another leap in quality of animation.
Certainly it's as smooth and buttery, if I can say that, as it's ever looked.
And the palettes are exquisite, like,
texture patterns and
it's all there, and then they're putting those dark themes over top of them, because when you play with the images in an editor,
you start seeing
everything's there.
Like,
you pull out everything.
You start noticing like texture to like Omega's face, which I don't really recall noticing before. Textures of like skin texture, which is weird given the style of animation that it is, but I like it.
Especially in the third one where they're out there and she's getting dirty and you see literal dirt across her face.
Exactly. I don't feel it though. In terms of storytelling, there's nothing here that pushes the boundaries of storytelling in the Star Wars galaxy. And I do feel like all 3 of them are, as a whole, are a pretty serviceable intro.
Not bad. I would disagree. There's something in Andy's episode that pushes us, maybe not pushes us forward. And no spoilers, but there's a connective tissue. Like there's like a verification to a theory that we all knew didn't really need to be verified.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't even
strong connective tissue though.
I didn't even allude to that because it was so obvious, and it's stuff that we've talked about. I mean, right from the beginning of the Omega character, who she is, what she might be, and it's pretty much on the nose by the time we get to the end of this.
And you can see, like they've been so bold with saying, like, we're connecting this to the TV stuff that we're doing currently, and we're connecting that to the Rise of Skywalker Endgame. So, like it or not, and I think they're being like they did with the prequels. I think the Clone Wars recontextualizes. I think this recontextualizes can actually make those films maybe work.
Somehow he returned.
Well, and again,
now we know.
I think every media outlet out there, every time they talk about that, they use that clip. Somehow Palpatine has returned.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy meme.
And you know what? It is what it is. And we knew that these shows were going to recontextualize things. And yes, we are well on the way. And if anything, the 3 episodes together, like you said, Hank, when you look at the live action stuff and you sort of add in this new information that we know, really does fill in a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
We have a much better understanding now of Palpatine's plan, or at least how he went about it,
and how long it's been cooking. This is like we will get into it in the third thing, but like
we're literally 10 minutes after the Clone War. Like
this is Plagius stuff. This is a huge link to Plagius.
Lauren's here, and she says, I feel like the slow pace is to give us the feeling of time passing and the monotony of being Omega during this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've got an interesting, I want to make an analogy here, and we're going to get to it here in a second. I guess let's just get right to it now. I'm going to put up let's put up the first slide here. Little switchy swappies. There we go. This first episode, it is, oh my God, what is it? It is confined. The original air date was Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, just a couple days ago. This one written by Jennifer Corbett. She is our lead writer on the series, directed by Saul Ruiz, the supervising director for the series. Runtime is an advertised 33 minutes or an actual 27 minutes and 4 seconds without the recap, titles, or credits, which surprisingly is longer than most. In fact, I feel like did they either speed up the credit sequence to trim that down?
Maybe.
The first thing I want to say about this, and I have a slide for it later on, but I want to get it out of the way right away, is how much this episode reminded me of and the episodes on Narkina 5. The day-to-day, like, yes. And I'm like, oh wow, she really must have liked those episodes of Andor, because tonally they feel so similar.
But at the same time, right, you're confined in an Imperial facility.
Exactly.
This is what you're going through.
Yeah. And she certainly had more freedom than
the only bonus to Narkina was it was all bright and cheery.
That's true. Yeah. The white institution.
And she's not wearing a prisoner's uniform. She's rocking
she
like
is
a science
not,
uniform, right? So she's
all right.
Crew.
Oh. All right. Are we ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's hit it. All right, the episode opens with a new class shuttle dropping out of hyperspace over the planet Wayland. After receiving landing clearance, the shuttle makes for Mount Tantus. But there is a massive electrical storm, and a random lightning strike disables the ship, forcing it to crash land far away from the base. Now, having survived the crash, the pilot and a handful of TK troopers debark the shuttle to collect their bearings. One of the troopers tells the others they have to keep moving because there are creatures in the jungle. His comrade tells him to relax, adding that the Lurka hounds will keep them at bay. But the other trooper points out that the hounds don't operate this far away. Lurka hound, that's a new creature that's getting introduced here for the first time, although we will not see them until later on this episode. All right. Oh, wow. Did I ever just jump ahead? What's going on here? I feel like something's out of place. Well, am I missing a slide?
No, you're missing finishing your section here.
Oh, that's why. All right. At the base communications center. Oh, wow.
Or maybe you are.
I am missing a slide. I really feel like I am. Or I've combined two into one. It's not a big deal. At the base communications center, a pair of technicians monitor the crash shuttle. Through the static, a TK trooper desperately calls for backup. Then, Dr. Hemlock, escorted by clone commando Scorch, arrive, and the doctor asks why the shuttle hasn't arrived yet. The technicians snap to attention as they relate how the shuttle has crashed, and then ask if they should send a recovery team. Stepping up to the console, Dr. Hemlock listens to the TK trooper's screams and blaster fire over the open channel before telling the technicians not to bother, adding, if they're past the perimeter, they're as good as dead. Then he and Scorch leave the technicians to their duties.
And coldly, he just turns the comm off.
Yep, just turns it off and walks away. Yep. This is the one thing I want to talk about. And I mean, of course, this is me. We all know me. I want to talk about these Imperial technicians, and they're just referred to as technicians. There's no specific title given to them other than technician. At a glance, the unnamed techs, they resemble the various underbite helmet-wearing techs that we've seen before, like the Imperial weapons technician and Imperial ground crew. But this is one of those things where, like, I get nitpicky on this stuff because I like getting lost in getting caught in the weeds or lost in the minutia of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about this before, but the whole Imperial uniform thing, Well, they've kind of done it again. And I understand that. I think this is actually the one spot where the show has gone out of its way to save money. I can't think of a story reason for this, because if you look a little bit more closely at the assets that they're using the weapon, the gunnery technician helmet, and what appears to be a standard Imperial officer's uniform.
Yeah, he's got his rank plate there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got whole pockets for his code cylinders. He's got the same belt. It's the double lapel or double breasted jacket with the riding trousers and the tall boots. All animation assets that they already would have had. And if we put a helmet on him, then we don't have to do a conscript's face.
But Jim was sick that day, so Lieutenant Stan had to fill in.
I mean, from a technical standpoint, when we were doing the Clone Wars, it was easy. We have the same clone asset that we can use for every clone in the military. We're now at a point now in Star Wars where that's not happening anymore. We have actual people behind those masks. Well, it's going to cost if we have to animate every face.
True.
Let's just stick a helmet on them and call them a technician.
I say the tech was sick that day, and so an officer had to fill in. Here's a helmet, boy.
Grab the gunnery helmet. Yeah.
Here's a helmet. Your weapon.
Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting. They did go out of their way, though, to change the color. The boot color looks almost green. I don't know. That's just
it most resembles that whitish uniform. Like, because, they washed it out a bit.
I did lighten the whole thing, so it could just be a lighting thing. They might actually be black boots, but they look kind of green, at least in the lightened image. Anyway, that's me. That's me getting lost in the weeds because it's my thing.
Well, there you go.
All right. Elsewhere in the fortress, Omega stands on the bed of her cramped cell, staring out a grilled window. Gone is her Batcher gear, replaced with a child-sized uniform from the Imperial Science Corps. It is the same uniform that the cloners like Dr. Pershing wears, complete with the cloner emblems on her shoulders. But the cell door slides open and Emery Carr walks in, bidding her good morning, and asks her how she feels today. Angrily, Omega says she feels like a prisoner and she wants to leave. Emery, somewhat taken back by the comment, tells Omega that she isn't a prisoner, adding that in time she will adjust to her new life. Emery beckons Omega to follow her, saying they have much work to do, and then turns and leaves the cell. Omega collects a small metal lunchbox from under her bed and follows Emery out into the mountain complex. As they make their way through the facility, Omega and Emery pass several troopers and science technicians. One group of troopers is escorting some clone prisoners, including Crosshair. Omega gasps at the sight of their slumped posture as they shuffle past, barely aware of their surroundings. Later, in one of the science labs, Omega holds a tray of vials as she watches Emery take a blood sample from a decommissioned clone. Like Crosshair and the other clones, this one is in a daze and he offers no resistance to the procedure. Emery looks at the blood sample for a moment before placing it in the tray with the others. She then tells Omega that she needs to take a sample of her blood. And when Omega asks why, Emery tells her that the samples are used for various research purposes and that everyone here serves a purpose. Climbing up onto the bed and offering Emery her hand, Omega asks if she can tell her where her brothers are, but Emery doesn't know. Omega then asks why she never saw Emery on Camino. Emery tells her that she was sent elsewhere until Dr. Hemlock took her under his wing, adding that Hemlock saw potential in her the same way that Nalase sees potential in Omega. Looking up at Emery, Omega says she never knew she had a sister, and it's nice not to be alone. Emery blinks at the remark, but doesn't answer. Then she places Omega's blood sample in the tray with the others and instructs Omega to take them all to Nalase. Interesting thought that Emery was whisked away sort of like immediately. So you talk about the legs that all these science projects have, like suggestive that they've been doing stuff even longer.
Right. I mean, she could be an accelerated version of a female clone. So
True.
Yeah.
Still could be a 3-year timeline, but they've been cooking, they've been cooking.
Yeah, 10 years.
Kay's here on YouTube says, I'm here. I'm sorry I'm late. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks, Kay. We're happy to be back. Thanks for tuning in. All right, taking a lift to another level of the base, Omega arrives at Nalase's medical lab. Well, the lab is guarded by 2 clone commandos. One of them opens the outer door, allowing Omega to enter an antechamber. Once inside, a blue laser scanner passes down the entire height of the chamber before the inner door to the lab opens. Inside the lab, a number of droids bustle about their work. At a workstation, Nala Se takes a vial of blood from a tray carried by a protocol droid, and she stares at it for a moment before placing it into an open slot above a centrifuge. Noticing that Omega has arrived, Nala Se thanks her as she takes the tray of vials from her and places them under a scanner. Seeing Omega's image appear on the display, Nala Se asks her if a sample of her blood was taken. Omega nods at her, saying that Emery told her it was routine. But then Nala Se deletes Omega's data and removes her blood sample from the tray and destroys it in a waste slot below the scanner. When Omega asks her why she discarded it, Nala Se instructs her to tell no one, adding that it is safer that way. Troubled by Nala Se's actions, Omega questions the research they're doing here, noting that it isn't like what they were doing on Camino. Nala Se shakes her head as she answers, "No, it is not." As she adds another blood sample to the centrifuge, Omega asks her why the Empire brought her here. Nala Se tells her it was to ensure that she would cooperate. She then tells Omega that the Empire seeks to reproduce a genetic M count, but the experiments on the current specimens have yet to yield the desired result. The camera then pushes in on the topmost vial of blood in the centrifuge. Inside the vial, a few more drops of blood are introduced into the sample. Omega asks, "What specimens? You mean the clones?" But Nala Se tells her, "No, not the clones." Just then, Dr. Hemlock and Scorch walk into the lab. Hemlock condescendingly remarks how nice it is to see Nala Se reunited with her trusted assistant, adding that he's sure that Omega's presence will only serve to strengthen her research efforts. Hemlock then beckons Nala Se to accompany him to what he calls the vault. Placing a hand on her shoulder, she tells Omega to complete her other tasks, and then departs the lab with the two men. The blood samples and the specimens, that's going to come up quite a bit through the course of this episode. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody has a theory on the specimens. We want to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comments. Tell us what you think the specimens are.
Just simple yak blood.
From the Canadian
tilted yak grocery store.
That's right. Arriving outside the vault, Hemlock, Nala Se, and Scorch walk down a short corridor, at the end of which is a door guarded by two more clone commandos. The clones. Wow. The clones. Oh, what did I try to write here?
Do it.
Wow. I should pre-fruit it.
There's a t-shirt. Pre-fruit.
The group make their way past the clones.
Yes. Right. The group make their way past the clones into a larger room. That room's perimeter is lined by 10 additional clone commandos, while two more watch from a control room above. All right, we got our first theory here. Sarah's got a good one here. Sarah says, "Is Grogu one of the specimens, possibly held in stasis, hence the missing time that Ahsoka spoke about in The Mandalorian Chapter 13, The Jedi?" Oh, that's a great theory. I think that's
that theory as well.
That is definitely a contender. I wouldn't rule that out. Good. Not at all.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right. As what did we get here? There. Oh, 10 more. At the far end of the room lay the door to the vault itself. Hemlock produces a key card and enters it into a slot beside the door. The door slides open, revealing another corridor, this one protected with multiple rows of ray shielding. As Hemlock and Nala Se enter the corridor, the ray shields sequentially open and close, allowing them to pass through while at the same time maintaining the maximum security of the chamber within. Satisfied that his charges are secure, Scorch leaves the chamber as the vault doors slide shut. In another part of the base, an Imperial labor droid runs a stable of Lurka hounds. The droid prods at one of the hounds through the bars of its cage with an electrobaton. Omega watches the droid with disdain and then sets about to feed one of them. The labor droid sets a data pad into a slot on the wall and presses a button on it, which opens an exterior door. Outside, a patrolling Lurkahound's collar blinks green, signaling the animal to come inside. After the droid turns away, Omega kneels down beside her lunchbox. Grabbing some scraps of straw that are strewn about on the stable floor, she stuffs a handful into the little box and closes it up before she's noticed. Making her way down the line of cages, Omega kneels down in front of another cage, and she calls the hound by name. "Hi, Batcher." The hound lays at the rear of its cage and just growls at her. Its food dish is overflowing with dry kibble. Concerned that the hound isn't eating, Omega takes some of her lunch, and she offers it to the hound. The hound lunges at the bars, startling Omega, who drops the food in the cage as she falls back. But the hound laps up the morsels before returning to the rear of its cage. Getting back to her... What's that?
They look like the chicky nuggets from
I was going to say,
Mandalorian.
they did look like chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Getting back to her feet, Omega asks the hound if it's feeling better now. Of course, it can't answer her. Then taking another quick look at the labor droid, Omega whispers, "I'll bring you more tomorrow," before picking up her lunchbox and leaving the stables. All right, I tried to get us a decent look here at our Lurka hounds. Here's a couple different ones.
Oh, nice.
We've seen hounds before in the Star Wars universe, particularly the Carillion hounds, and I would say that they share some similarities in general body type, but certainly very different in their faces.
I would go out as far as saying that these Lurka hounds run exactly like the terror dogs from Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
But they have a very similar
by episode 3, when you see them bounding through where they're gonna go, from the back end, it's like, yeah, there goes a terror dog.
Nice.
That's cool. I like that. I like that analogy, to be honest. All right, dogs in Star Wars. All right, after leaving the stables, Omega makes her way to the detention level, carefully avoiding the guards. Sitting down on a ledge just outside Crosshair's cell, she tells him that she tried to come earlier, but there were just too many guards watching her. Crosshair tells her that she shouldn't even be here at all, but Omega refutes that with, "Well, how else are we going to plan an escape?" Sitting up on his bed, Crosshair tells her there is no escape because he's already tried. Omega insists that every stronghold has a weak point, and she wonders if she can get Emery to help them because she's a clone like they are. Ever the realist, Crosshair points out that not every clone is Omega's ally, and that she trusts too easily. But Omega shoots back, "Maybe you don't trust enough." The camera cuts to Crosshair's hands resting between his legs. His right hand trembles for a moment before he grasps it in his left and begins to rub his knuckles to stop it. Noticing the tremor, Omega looks up at her brother and questions him. "Crosshair?" With pain and frustration in his voice, Crosshair tells Omega to leave before she makes more trouble for both of them. Picking up her lunchbox, she turns to leave, but then stops herself and turns back. She tells Crosshair there has to be a way out of there, and she's going to find it. Crosshair just stares at the floor until after she's gone before lifting his head. With a pained expression, he watches her walk away a few steps before laying back down on the bed. Now, I want to talk about the tremor here for a second, because I got a couple ideas here, and I want to know what you guys think. One, I thought that maybe this was Crosshair starting to show the signs of deterioration from the advanced aging process. Or the other one, it's a result of various Imperial tortures.
I am firmly in camp 2.
Yeah.
They ran enough juice through that poor bastard to just shake him.
I mean, go ahead, Hank.
Oh, just like how you castrate that character, it's that way.
You take it,
and I mean metaphorically, like from a writer's standpoint.
Oh yeah.
And that would make the most sense. He's been poked and prodded. Probably more than any of the other clones because of the nature of who he is.
There's a line coming up here later on in the episode from Hemlock who says that he had plans for Crosshair despite his resistance to re-education.
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever re-education looks like.
Resistance to the mind probe is.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was just an interesting little detail to sort of focus in on for a second. All right. It's nighttime, and Omega once again stands on her bed looking outside. With a simple punch-like tool, she scratches a mark into the window box, adding it to the 20 other similar marks in an effort to keep track of how long she's been imprisoned. Hopping down off the bed, she grabs her lunchbox from underneath. Opening the box, she eats one of the chicken nugget-like morsels nested in the upper tray. Lifting the tray out of the box, she tosses in the tool and removes a bundle of straw. But it isn't just a loose bundle at all. The straw has been fashioned into a crude Tuca doll. Taking the doll back up into the window box, she uses more of the loose straw to strengthen one of the doll's floppy ears. Satisfied with her work, she gives the doll a brief smile before tucking it close to her chest, then leans into the window box and sighs at the 21 marks etched into the window. Turning her attention outside, Omega stares at the bright moon in the night sky. We've talked about time, the passage of time in Star Wars before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the easiest thing to equate this is each mark is one day.
Yeah. Rotation.
One rotation.
One rotation. And that's sort of the thing that we've talked about too. What's a rotation? Is it a day? Is it a year? What is it?
It's a day on
There's
whatever
A
planet.
month?
You're on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One day.
And then there's, I mean, if you're in space, I guess it's a general wherever you're headed or wherever you've been. But there is a line in my episode that is pretty conclusive that a rotation is a day.
Is one day. Okay, perfect. Of course, we've seen the Tuca doll before. She inherited one from Wrecker, and it looks like this is her attempt to recreate that. She's a kid after all.
Mhm.
To remember that she still is a kid. And of course, Tucas come from the Tuca cat, of which the Loth cat is a variety of. Back in the medical lab, scientists and droids continue their work. The centrifuge rotates, and more blood is introduced to another one of the clone samples.
I love
There's-
the way that it's like a clock ticking down.
Yeah. It also, I thought the whole thing. Yeah, you mean the centrifuge spinning?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Sorry, yeah, I'm right with you on that one. There's so much repetition in this episode. Like we're going to see these images or very similar images again a few times. Well, another morning on Wayland, and Omega wakes up in her cell and she looks out the barred window. Her hair is longer now and it's pulled back into a short ponytail. Inside the window box, there are at least 150 marks signaling what I think is 5 months of imprisonment here at Mount Tantus.
Yeah.
Grabbing her lunchbox from under the bed, Omega tucks the Tuca doll under the tray, and she stands in front of the cell door. The door slides open, and Emery walks in, bidding her good morning. Omega responds in kind, and then Emery says, "Let's begin," and the two of them depart for work. The scene is nearly a carbon copy of Omega's first day, only this time, when she passes Crosshair in the corridor, she makes no sign of even noticing him at all. The whole sequence serves to drive home the monotony of Omega's new day-to-day routine. Yeah, and this is where I said, in that sense, this is, like I was saying, like the whole Narkina 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Line up.
You know, everybody gets in a line. We all go to work. We all have our job, and it's the same thing every day.
You'd think the prison would be lit like the, the ship, and the ship would be lit like the prison. It's a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird.
Let's paint the walls red.
Yeah, exactly. And the routine continues in the lab as Emery takes another daily sample of Omega's blood, placing it in the tray along with the others before sending Omega off to Nala Se.
What do you think the daily samples are all about?
I mean,
they got to know that they're not being. There's no.
I think the
Where's the paper trail? Like, if the person administering the procedure have nothing to do with, I guess, because Nala Se is the
she's
top.
the one taking the blood, so
The daily samples seem weird.
I feel like they're whatever they're combining. This is where we're going to get into this later. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because it's a big part of your episode, Andy. I don't want to take that away from you, but it comes down to, I think, what we think are in the pods.
Right.
And
so they're adding a different blood
a different
time.
sample could be being added each time.
At the end of my episode, we're going to break down that whole vault scene.
Oh, that's great. I'm
With
very much looking forward to
additional
that.
detail to what
Yeah.
we're-
Yeah. Where are we at? Oh, yes. And once again, Nala Se deletes Omega's data from the scanner and destroys her blood sample. Now, she's been doing this for what, 50 some odd days?
5 months or so.
Yeah.
In the stables, Omega goes about feeding the Lurka hounds. Arriving at Batcher's cage, she notices a large gash on her front right leg. Alerting K9X1, that's the labor droid, it comes over and tells Omega that Batcher, technically identified as LH201, was injured while on patrol the night before, adding that if her wounds do not heal, she will be terminated. Emotionally charged, Omega tells the droid to help her, but the labor droid coldly points out that medical treatment is not part of its programming and it goes back to its duties. Omega turns back to Batcher as Batcher whimpers, and then she runs off to gather supplies from a first aid kit on the wall. Flipping the lid open, she removes a preloaded Bacta swab and then returns to Batcher. Omega opens the swab and she reaches through the cage. Batcher snaps at her, but doesn't actually bite. Taking a stern tone, Omega tells the hound that she needs to clean her wound so it can heal properly and tells her, put those teeth away. She says it will only hurt for a second, and she proceeds to apply the gel to the open wound. Surprisingly, Batcher goes along with it and lays still for her. This is a very interesting scene, by the way. I like the fact that, she has a real friend in here, which is kind of tragic considering what's going to happen later. Also, Bacta, the Star Wars miracle drug, also comes in first aid kits now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Seems kind of weird they would have an animal handler with no medical programming.
I mean, it's a droid. You wouldn't give, like, Omega's just there. It's like something for her to do. I don't think that they've gone out of their way to have people interact with these things.
I feel like she's maybe, because she's given a certain degree of freedom, this might be something that she chose to do.
Oh, maybe that's really possible.
Like, I'll go check on this guy, beyond feed them, like they're an expendable sort of item.
Yeah.
Let them loose to guard.
This is part of those freedoms that Hemlock talks about.
Right, yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, crossfade to Omega, now sitting outside Crosshair's cell. She tells Crosshair how she dressed Batcher's wound as best that she could and wonders if there's a medical kit that she could steal from the lab. Angrily, Crosshair tells her to stop. He then asks Omega, what is your primary mission? And without missing a beat, she tells him, escape? It's almost like a question.
Yeah.
Sternly, he tells her, then stop wasting time on lost causes. Forget the hound, forget him, and complete the mission. Omega says, not without you. Not surprisingly, Crosshair tells her that if he had the chance to escape, he wouldn't think twice about leaving her behind. Omega shouts at him, you're lying. You wouldn't do that. You're my brother. Frustratedly, Crosshair waves his hands in front of him and tells Omega, I'm not them. Omega locks eyes with Crosshair and says she's not giving up on him, and she won't let him either. Crosshair furrows his brow and stares at the floor, so Omega gets up and leaves. But after a few steps away from the cell, Crosshair calls out to her.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, that's a flub.
There's an ear crossword.
Woo!
After a few steps away from his cell, Crosshair calls out to her. Omega turns back to look while Crosshair gets up and he moves to the cell door. Grabbing a hold of the grills on the door, he tells her not to risk anything on him because he belongs in here. But Omega corrects him when she says, none of us belong in here. She then turns and walks away. Crosshair watches for a moment as she leaves, and then his face turns downward into a scowl as he contemplates what just happened. And I want to talk about what just happened, minus my flub. Is this Crosshair showing actual remorse for what he's done?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
I wondered about
self-imposed. He's accepted his fate.
I mean, sure, he's accepted that he's a prisoner and he's never getting out of there, but like, is he actually remorseful for all the evil crap that he's done leading up to now?
I think the moment he sent Plan 88 into effect, he was back on board.
You think so?
I think the moment he shot that Imperial asshole last
At
season,
the end of last season.
it's like, my God, I've turned on them. I picked the wrong side.
That whole idea, help him. And the officer
And he's
doesn't.
like, no, he's just another piece of garbage that we can throw away. Long live the Empire.
All right. So maybe this has been percolating for a little while then.
I think so.
Yeah.
Still don't think that this character is redeemable, though. I don't think he's redeemable in life.
Remember the line he just said there, like, if I had the chance, I'd leave you behind.
Yep.
Because come episode 3, it'll call into question.
Fair enough. Later on in Omega's room, she stands in the window clutching the straw Tuca doll and stares forlornly at the crescent moon. As the water from the sink in her room continues to slowly drip, she climbs down from the window and goes to sleep.
That thing has been dripping for 5 months.
Yes.
Just think of the water bill.
Bloop.
I
In the
kept
lab,
thinking that was going to be the key to the escape.
the water. Oh,
Yeah.
as soon as I saw the droid open the door to call the Hound, and I'm like, well, there's your way out. That wasn't live. That seemed to be the most obvious one to me.
I think the water is just another, like tick.
Oh yeah, it's the
Yeah.
ticking
Another clock
clock.
going
Yes. In the lab, the centrifuge rotates and more blood is introduced into the uppermost sample. And then interestingly enough, we've seen cuts before, but not like this. We actually get a fade out to black for a full 10 seconds
Wow.
to signify the passage of time, which by the way, I wouldn't make a big deal of this. 10 seconds in an animated series, you know how much happens in 10 seconds?
Mhm.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
mean, we watch these episodes macroscopically. So like 10 seconds of footage could be paragraphs of text, right?
Did you get a slide of it?
I did not. It was just black. Just close your eyes and you'll see it.
Oh, it's good.
All right. In the morning, Omega is roused from her sleep when the door to the cell slides open and a pair of commandos barge in and begin tossing the room. Emery steps into the doorway. Omega hides the Tuca doll behind her back and asks, what's going on? And Emery tells her it's a surprise inspection. One commando dumps the lunchbox while the other inspects the dripping sink. Seeing the Tuca doll behind Omega's back, the commando grabs it and he hands it to Emery. Emery tells her that they've already been over this and that personal items are forbidden and she'll dispose of it. Omega waves her hands at her. Don't, please, Emery. Emery tells her it's for her own good and then orders her to come with her because they have work to do. Omega puts her lunchbox back together and then she and the commandos fall in behind Emery and head out for the lab.
Surprise inspection, just like Shawshank Redemption.
It's funny that you've only had one in 5 months.
Yeah.
She did fall asleep with it in her arms. I mean, they did tip her box over and stuff, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She like it's almost she's letting her guard down a bit.
You would think, and of course, like going back to what you said, Hank, about the hounds being, maybe that's something that she's elected to do. Like maybe now, like we saw her avoiding the commandos and the TK troopers to get to Crosshair's cell, but maybe they are noticing now and they are watching.
You could kind of like maybe assume that the decision to go to the kennels was a place to get the straw for the Tuca doll in the first place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you could.
Like, so one thing led to another.
Yeah, for sure. Back at the vault, Nala Se and Dr. Hemlock exit the ray-shielded corridor back into the heavily guarded outer chamber. Nala Se says that the Emperor should be pleased that they have accomplished a successful transfer. But Hemlock says, not when the M count was severely diminished in the process. He adds that if they do not match or exceed the specimen's original count, then it is a failure. As they exit the chamber, Hemlock tells Nala Se that if she can't produce the desired results, he'll have to reconsider the freedoms that he's given to Omega. And he would hate to think that Nala Se is intentionally delaying the project. Nala Se says that Hemlock shouldn't question her loyalty to science. He nods, of course, adding that soon they'll see if the Emperor is as understanding as he is. Then, under Scorch's escort, Nala Se is led away from the vault. Kind of a cyclical Vader moment.
Yeah, it's kind of a legacy line on its turn on its head.
Yeah. Back in the stables, Omega kneels down in front of Batcher's cage, remarking how she's almost back to 100%. The Hound jumps up against the bars, excited to see her. and Omega pets her through the cage door. Suddenly, Canine X1 is there, pulling her away from the cage, asking if Omega has read the standing orders for the day, because Batcher has been scheduled for euthanizing. Omega is shocked and confused. She asks why, pointing out that the hound's leg wound has healed. The droid tells her that Batcher's recent domesticated disposition has been deemed a liability. Protesting, Omega tells the droid that's her fault, not Batcher's. The droid just drags her away, saying that nevertheless, it is protocol. Struggling against the droid's grip on her arm, Omega manages to wriggle free, and she grabs at K9X1's datapad. Suddenly, it's a tug-of-war between the two, with Batcher barking away as she looks on. Planting her feet against the droid's chest, Omega is able to rend the datapad from the droid's hands and falls to the ground. K9X1 declares a security alert, and he draws an electro baton from his back and begins to swing it at Omega. But Omega is able to roll out of the way. Hitting one of the buttons on the datapad, Omega triggers the release of a large container suspended high above the floor, and it crashes down on the droid, causing him to drop the baton and renders him immobile. Quickly, Omega picks up the baton and drives the end into the droid's head, deactivating it. By the way, that's pretty grim for her. I know it's a droid and it's okay to kill droids, but like it's like standing over him and it's like she stares at the glowing tip.
John Wick moment. You're gonna kill my dog? No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? All right, so drives at the end into the droid's head, deactivating it. Dropping the baton, she slides the datapad into a slot on the wall and triggers the outer doors on Batcher's cell to open, as well as deactivates her signal caller. Rushing to the cage, Omega pleads with the hound to run away and never come back. It's a sad moment for Omega as she's losing the only real friend that she's had in here, and it seems as though it's a mutual feeling as Batcher whimpers at the order. Resolved to get Crosshair out of his cell, Omega tells the hound that she can't go with her, at least not yet. Then, with some final encouragement, the hound dashes out of the cage and into the jungle outside the mountain fortress. As she kneels there, grasping the cage bars, Omega is unaware that Dr. Hemlock has now entered the room. She's surprised at his voice. Breaking the rules, I see. Spinning around, both Hemlock and Emery stand there looking at her. Hemlock wrings his gloved hand. I still want to know what is underneath that freaking glove.
Yeah.
Wrings the gloved hand as he remarks how cruel she is for releasing a weak Lurka hound into the wild. Omega shouts, "You are going to terminate her!" Dr. Hemlock calmly replies, "And you believe your actions have changed that outcome?" Casually walking towards Omega, Hemlock tells her that several rotations earlier, a shuttle crashed beyond the mountain. But it wasn't the crash that killed the crew. It was the native creatures that roam the jungle, and even the strongest Lurka hounds struggle with what lay beyond the fortress walls. Adding that Omega's domestication of Batcher has only made her vulnerable. Angrily, Omega shoots back, "You don't know she won't survive." Then looking to Emery, she adds, "She deserves a chance." Love that she makes eye contact with Emery at that point. It's almost like the, I'm talking about the dog, but I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
Hemlock calls it flawed logic, the flawed logic of an idealistic child. He says that emotion and sentiment have no place within the fortress. She would do well to remember that. And of course, the follow-up line from Hemlock, I mean, if Emery is smart enough to pick up that the double meaning, Hemlock's response should send a strong message to her.
Yeah.
Not willing to back down, Omega says, "Or what?" Then Emery tries to intervene and offers to take Omega back to her room, but Hemlock holds up his hand to silence her. Looking down at the child, he asks, "You have more to say?" Rudely, Omega reveals that she knows Malisay was brought here because Hemlock needs her. And she won't work for him if he hurts her. Her being Omega.
Yeah.
Laughing out loud, the doctor says, "Of course I'm not going to hurt you. Your friend in the detention block may not be as fortunate." With the immediate realization that he being her brother, Omega shouts, "Don't hurt Crosshair. He didn't do anything." Well, Didn't do anything in here.
Yeah.
Hemlock says that he did have plans for Crosshair, even though he is resisting re-education efforts. He is willing to make a few sacrifices if Omega continues to misbehave. Then, looming over her, Hemlock leans down and hisses, "Actions always have consequences. Sometimes not in the ways we imagine." Turning to leave, Hemlock orders Emery to take Omega back to her room and restrict her access in the fortress, and then he leaves the stables. Emery gestures at Omega to come with her, so Omega picks up her lunchbox and the two of them head out. In her room, Omega sits on her bed facing the back wall with her knees tucked up against her chest. The door slides open and Emery walks in. With a sigh, Omega tells her, "Go away." Emery tries to talk to her, but Omega just wants to be alone. So, setting something down on the floor, Emery turns and leaves. After the door closes, Omega turns to look and is surprised to see the woven straw Tuca doll sitting there on the floor. And she picks it up and she strokes its woven face with her thumb. Then a shrieking animal call from outside catches her attention, and Omega rushes back to the window looking for the source of the noise. Not seeing anything, she cradles the Tuca doll and rests her head on her forearms. And the scratch count has up now. It's now either, I can't tell for sure, it's either 164 or 165. But yeah, more time has passed. Out in the jungle, far away from the fortress, Batcher stands on the wreckage of the crashed Imperial shuttle, howling at the night sky. She stands there only a moment before turning and runs off deeper into the jungle. And we cut to black. All right, episode 1. What'd you guys think?
I mean, it's way better on the second and third watch. It's
Agreed.
Way better after we go through it like this. They always are. But not the strongest opening they've ever had.
Also agree.
But it's tonal. There's a different thing going on here. We're not like, we don't have to waste time on like exposition, like introducing characters or. So I think it's supposed to feel like this, but to the casual fan, I think they needed to back it up with the other two episodes because it's supposed to give you that feeling.
Agreed. I mean,
in retrospect, it might have even worked better with a week between this episode and because that would make you feel even more like she's been there forever.
I feel like you're right. You're absolutely right. Again, putting all 3 episodes out at one time, the 3 episodes work together as a complete arc, and I think that's sort of you have the executive decision. How do we prevent loss of viewership? Well, we got to give it all at once. I think that there is a real concern that had they have given just 1 episode, people might actually tune out. And when you say this isn't the strongest season premiere, think of season 2. The season 2 premiere was like that Pirates of the Caribbean episode with the giant crabs running down the beach and the gunfight, and completely different. So
right.
I totally
I think tonally we're trying to go a little more story. We're trying to get to an end game. Like we all know that that's coming. So
we are racing towards the sequel trilogy.
I just feel like it's hard to balance a fine line between the casual fan who just wants to watch these guys run around
Star Wars cartoon. And
then people that are like, what do you mean he used his left hand to scratch his chest?
Oh, yeah. I guess that can be off-putting for some, but I mean, if you're watching our show, then clearly, I mean, hopefully you like the microscopic analysis that we give these things.
No, absolutely. I just feel like that's one of the reasons that sort of informs them, like we should put out a little arc, because the casual viewer might not go, "Oh, what are they doing?" If they're not invested in this.
You're right. All right. Does anybody need a short break before we pick it up with?
I could use a little bathroom break.
All right, man. Well, what about you, Andy? You good?
I'm good for
Well, I tell you what, we'll sit here and we'll entertain while you're
talk amongst yourselves.
Absolutely. Let's take that out of here. We'll
continuing on.
I
think it's more or less, setting us tonally for Omega's piece in the journey.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
she's isolated. She's alone. It's a dark and boring time for her.
And it really
she's
is.
Still holding on to that spark of hope.
that's the thing with this character. Omega has always been sort of the shining beacon when you think that everything is at its worst. She's always been this consistent sort of ray of light, I guess.
Yeah. Like, and Hemlock is actively trying to beat it out of her. Emery is actively trying to say, you know, don't go that route.
Yeah.
Don't hold on to your hope. This is your new life. Accept it, deal with it, run with it.
I mean, I see Emery in a bit of a different light in light of that.
So conflicted.
In light of that final sort of interaction about, you know, she deserves a chance, right?
Yeah.
It's like Emery is the mirror image of Omega, but just it's that nurture versus nature thing. Like, you know, remember the book The Boys from Brazil, where they cloned Hitler and they basically they cloned Hitler like several times, and they took the children and they placed them in different parts of the world and raised them in different environments to see would they all turn out to be
evil,
right? And so, like, the idea that, you know, in a loving family, that's where the child is nurtured, they would grow up a different way. And I feel like that's sort of what we're getting with Emery, is this, like, it's the mirror, you know, looking at Emery's looking into a mirror when she looks at Omega and sort of reflecting on her own life.
My question is, does Emery still have her chip? And if so,
that's a good question.
Is she just subject to Order 49? Like,
we've never seen another
officers follow orders.
We haven't seen any other female clones besides the two of them, right? Certainly not off not the Jango Fett stuff anyway. Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what the point of Emery is. Like, what was going on there? Like, was Emery the prototype? Like, were they trying to?
Was she the alpha to Omega?
Well, I presume that the alpha was Boba.
Yeah.
Right, because Omega's supposed to be. Well, she's not unaltered. She is
Alpha Fett.
Yeah. But I wonder if there's, like, talking about sort of the longevity of the plan and how insightful Palpatine was. Did he know that the clones were key to his perpetuity? And did they know that one of these genetically altered clones was going to be the key template? The key to recreating a force sensitive body? Do you know what I mean? Like, and maybe Emery was like the first fail at that.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah. Why keep her around? I guess.
I don't know.
Well, she says Hemlock saw potential in her, as Nalase did with Omega.
Oh, right.
And weird to, like, train them up and give them a high degree of autonomy if they're an experiment.
Yeah, I mean, like,
is it conditioning though? Because, like,
almost certainly in Emery's case,
collected as hell.
In Emery's case, it almost certainly is.
Barely ever comes to the surface.
Less condition. Well, I mean, conditioning. Can we call it indoctrination? Is that a better word?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Because she's definitely trained herself to not show the emotion. But
oh yeah, she's pretty.
There's moments
flat,
there.
Eh?
There's moments there where you see the wheels are spinning, but
yeah, and just her repetitiveness. Come, Omega, we have work to do. Or come, Omega, there's much to do. It's the same thing.
Good morning, Omega.
God.
We've got work.
Yeah,
exactly. How do I enable control over the slidey boos?
Okay, so in the you see the slideshow in the bottom. There's a pair of arrows.
Oh my!
Like to the right of the word slide 1, there's an arrow. It says next slide.
I don't see that at all.
Okay, well, here, let's put it up on screen. I wonder if maybe it's because I put it in, and maybe that's why you don't have access. Let me try this. I'm going to take it right out. Go ahead, Hank. Go into present on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then slides. And there should be some stuff there.
2.
Yep. And then now you've got an arrow on your screen, and you've got
100%. And how do I get us on the other side of
just like this?
Ah, beautiful.
And this. There we go.
I'm such a noob.
Little technical.
Only got 3 years experience.
It takes a village, man. It takes a village.
It does. Now I'm going to be staring like way over here at my notes, so you guys could think I'm like,
no, it's okay. We're here as usual. You know, we'll just yell at you. If
and I'll make sure you get the notes as soon as we're done.
Oh, of course, that's right.
Patreon and stuff.
If you haven't checked out our Patreon, it's pretty thin right now, but we've done away with our multi-tier system. We have one tier now, and it's just, you know, we don't want to do. We're not looking for your support. Of course, we are looking for your support. The easiest way.
We don't need you.
The easiest way to support us, of course, is to follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is where we're most active. But if you want to check out our Patreon and you want to be included as part of the Fandom Power production team, you might consider subscribing to our Patreon there. We do put all of the show notes. So all of our scripted shows, all of the notes go in there. So if you want to go back and you know, what were they talking about at this point? You can always go to our Patreon and you can check that out. We are looking at other ways of doing more stuff with the Patreon, like some Patreon exclusive live streams.
Unboxings?
Yeah, exactly. We do have a whole unboxing series coming up where Hank and I think our count was 20 plus action figures that we
probably
both,
growing, right?
That we both own that have yet to be opened. So I thought, rather than doing the standard like person hands in the camera opening the thing, the two of us will do the same figure at the same time, and we'll crack jokes and talk about, you know, what's good and what's not so good about them, and have a lot of fun doing it. So if you like those types of videos, look for that coming soon. Whenever you're ready, sir, you can take it away.
And we're batch.
Do you want to run?
Do you want to? Oh, sure. You know what? We can do that.
Just to make it official.
To make it official.
Okay. That way people can edit the transition. In their mind. Okay,
that's right. We'll mark the transition with one of these. Here we go.
And we're batch. It's like we never left you.
That's like a do-over right there.
It was so use take 2.
That's right.
Take 2 is perfect because episode 2, Paths Unknown, which I had to change in my notes because I kept calling it Parts Unknown.
Oh, sure.
And then I was like, that title doesn't make any sense. All right, Paths Unknown. Episode 2, season 3. Written by Matt Miknobitz, and I didn't do any research, but I believe we've seen some stuff from him before, and of course directed by Nate Villanueva, who we are familiar extensively with his work. We got a runtime of 26:53 or 23:57 without intro and credits, and I think you had Wes, on your episode, I think you had a previously on.
The episode synopsis.
Sort of kind of made, I didn't have any of that. I wrote my own little intro. Hunter and Wrecker, hot on the trail of Omega, stumble upon clone cadets stranded at a destroyed Imperial facility. I jump right in. So, pan down a large old castle with high dual spires stretched out like arms with hands cupped, and I immediately thought we were at a Jedi temple.
Oh, really? I actually thought we were back on Serena.
You remember the old Jedi Academy symbol?
Yes.
And remember a little while ago I made you guys that photoshopped version of doubling.
That's right. Yeah. It does kind of.
That looks so much like that.
It evokes that a lot. Yeah.
I completely blown away. So, a red helmeted figure with horns indignantly demands who dares summon him and question his loyalty. The charges against me are false. Roland Durand, missing horn ever prominent, steps forward, telling the captain to stop wasting their time. Confession of his crimes may yield mercy. Roland Durand, of course, the clown prince of crime from the Bad Batch season 1 episode 13, Infested.
That's right, yeah.
The Deveronian captain demands proof, but Roland claims his accomplices have been captured and already confessed. Issa Durand, Roland's mother and head of the crime family, stamps a large metal staff. You are guilty of conspiracy against this family, before stating coolly, any last words? He tells her the syndicate has grown weak under his rule. She addresses her court. Who here agrees? The captain yells at the silence audience, raised in a clenched fist. Cowards! Issa reaches for control button and the arm of her throne hovers over it dramatically. You're dismissed, Captain. And as she presses the red ray shield at his feet disappears, and the armor-clad captain tumbles to his doom. Roland Durand is again portrayed by Tom Taylorson, whose credits include a bevy of video games, including Mass Effect and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Issa Durand, guys.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard. I'm like,
Right?
what?
Up until now, only mentioned, is voiced by the incomparable Angelica Houston, winner of the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for Prizzi's Honor way back in '96. If you guys remember that with Jack Nicholson.
Yep.
And star of the Addams Family movies. And this isn't her first Star Wars role either. I lost this completely in the weeds. She was the voice of the Sith Mother in an episode of Star Wars Visions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it lost in the weeds on me. Yeah, man.
Great animation model, by the way. She looks very.
Oh, she's fantastic, and I like the
as
sort
a
of
crime
differences
boss.
between the genders. And she's got these little long trails and stuff. She demands, "Who stands before me?" And as Roland nods, guards open who stands before me next? Sorry. And as Roland nods, guards open a door to a throne room, and a prisoner is muscled inside. It's a Pike, his hands in binders behind his back. Hunter and Wrecker shove him forward, and all three take place up on the red ray-shielded floor. At first glance, their armor appears much the same as Season 2, but much more heavily weathered. Roland introduces them as the mercenaries we discussed. She remarks, "You have great courage to demand an audience with me," telling them that they'd be dead if not for the fact her son convinced her to consider the offer. Hunter reaches into his utility belt, tossing something to Roland, saying, "And we're here to deliver." Rolling the object in his hand to examine it. It is Roland's amputated horn. Hunter tells the crime lord, "You ask for the Pike who disgraced your family?" Wrecker slaps the prisoner on the back. "He's all yours." Hunter assures it won't be traced back to them. Oh, thanks. And they made it, and they made sure of it. Issa Durand demands the prisoner be taken below. The Pike resists, exclaiming, "No, this isn't over, Durand."
Well, it kind of is.
Pretty much.
I think
on that
it's
ratio.
over for you, buddy. Issa addresses the pair of clones. "Impressive. Your willingness to cross the Pikes shows how desperate you are." She asks why the intel they've requested in return is so valuable to them. Hunter spills it plainly, telling her Dr. Hemlock stole someone from them, and he heard their syndicate had the connections needed to find the Imperial base. And since they've upheld their end, now it's your turn. Pushing a button on her throne once again, this time extending a metal walkway to the ray shield, Roland approaches them holding what looks like a data disk or a bounty puck. He tells the Batchers that Hemlock's whereabouts is well guarded by the Empire, but a source came across coordinates linked to his laboratory. Hunter asks if they've been verified, but Issa is finished, telling the clones, "Take what you came for and go before my generosity runs out."
Typical crime boss.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter takes the disc from Roland, and who tells Hunter, "I hope you find what you're looking for." The 99s leave and lift off in the Marauder.
Can we go back to your first slide for a second? Only
Very
because go advance, not the first one. Can you advance a couple? The one with the Pike. I want to talk about the Pike for a second.
Oh,
because
sure.
I love the fact, I know that live action and animation there's differences. I just love the fact that they just straight up went, don't effing care. We're using the same animation model.
I prefer this version, and it might be the only one I'm willing to like. I'm okay with the
live action one
versions of everything. This is the one where I'm like, man, I would like to see the live action version tweaked more in this direction.
Almost now thinking about this sort of in real time and looking at this image, I almost wonder if the Pikes that we see in the Book of Boba Fett are actually humans wearing a mask, and they are just the soldiers, the line troops of the syndicate, and that the Pike species still look like this.
Or the Pikes even look a third way in Solo.
Well, There is that too.
Yeah.
Well,
There's that
running
too.
an entire syndicate, you do need foot soldiers.
I
But
mean,
the solo version looks more akin to this animation
yeah.
than the other one. Yeah.
But they are so strikingly different that it's hard to reconcile that. But you know what? I'm okay with it. But I just thought it was interesting that it's like, oh, we're just gonna forget that and just go with this.
I do like this version of the. Where was we?
You're right there.
In hyperspace, Hunter examines the ship's computer readout and a data pad. He looks confused and then angry and then dejected, and I kept all those in because.
Oh yeah.
As he turns to focus on Omega's Tuca doll resting in her quarters, I imagine he's preoccupied with finding Omega, but I also get the impression he's doing tech work, and it's just not his forte. Like he's really frustrated at a few things here. And it
kills me.
It's a super good emotional beat.
Yeah, this is the one that made me go. It literally, I got my heart in my throat for a second, and I had to do a hard swallow to not get a little teary here. Looking at the goggles sitting on top of the console, and it's like it's not just that the goggles are there; it's the implication that they went back to look for him,
right?
And that's all they got. That's all they recovered.
There's so much going on. That's why I took these 3 shots.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
His emotional range here is crazy. If that was an actor, you'd have to be some serious to pull that kind of thing off. Wrecker interrupts, letting Hunter know. Echo says he and Rex need 2 rotations before they can meet them at the coordinates. And Hunter says it's not good enough. He said they're going to go now. But the big man puts his hand on his brother's shoulder. And Hunter, the last time we stormed an Imperial base without backup, not all of us made it out. But even at the mention of tech, it doesn't deter Hunter, and he heads for the cockpit. He says Omega's been waiting for a long time, and he's not going to make her wait another day. And that's where I think that the conclusive rotation is a day.
A day. Yes, of course.
Contained in there. The shuttle leaps from hyperspace at an unidentified green, pale water and land world. As they descend through the atmosphere, it's revealed to be a lush, steaming, temperate forest. Landing in a tight clearing, the pair disembark. Wrecker comments that it smells like a rancid Jotaz before lowering his helmet. Jotaz, if you guys
it's a deep cut.
Are privy, it's a deep cut. I thought that was pretty great. It's a large, monstrous predator from the planet Zepho, and if you played Jedi Fallen Order, you've likely killed 1 or 2 of these behemoths.
Yeah. Or been killed by one.
Or been killed several times. Hunter doesn't pick anything up on scanners, thinking the Empire could be jamming them. They proceed deeper into the dense forest, teeming with plant life and animal sounds all around them. Hunter comes up on a high ledge overlooking a huge structure covered with thick vines and overgrowth. As Wrecker finally catches up, he remarks, "Whoa." As Hunter scans the area with macro binoculars, oh no. Wrecker asks if that's Hemlock's lab. Hunter tells him they destroyed it. It's another orbital bombardment. But Omega, Wrecker starts. If she was here, Hunter cuts him off. We don't know if she was. The Durand intel could be wrong. He wants to get a closer look. What was the comment there?
Oh, a comment from Sarah. She said the Jotas Jedi Fallen Order reference was cool.
It was so cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Moving quickly and capably through the terrain, Hunter stops dead, his left fist raised in the halt signal. He remarks aloud, "We're not alone." And a pair of young boys jump from the trees, brandishing improvised weapons. "Freeze," one of them yells. "Drop your weapons," the other one demands. Wrecker laughs. "Blaster beats stick, kid." This is the best line in the episode. Blaster beats stick, kid. But Wrecker, and he's probably going to blast him too. You get that impression?
I think,
I thought he was going to shoot. I mean, maybe on
if it came right down to it, sure.
Wrecker, blaster beats stick, kid, but Hunter waves him down. "Wrecker, they're regs." "And who are you?" one of the lads asks. Soldiers remove their helmets. "We're clones, same as you." One cadet recognizes them as 99s, calling them defectives. Wrecker corrects him. "Defective and effective." Hunter asks what they're doing out here. "They're trying to survive, no thanks to the Empire." They want to know if the clones have been sent to finish them off. Wrecker asks if they look like we're with the Empire. The young clones ask what they want, and Hunter tells them about Omega. And he's telling everybody. Like, if anybody else wants to find Omega, he's telling everybody.
Yeah. You want to come? You
no
want to come
secret.
too?
You might as
Anybody
well put
else?
out an ad. Have you seen this girl? Where's that? Sorry. The
You
young
just
clones
put it on
ask
the back of put it on the back of the Mantelman's box.
The young clones ask what they want, and Hunter tells them about Omega and how she may have been at the lab. One boy remarks he's never seen anyone like that, but Mox might know about her. The other boy protests. He won't want to talk to them. Hunter asks, please, saying they have to find her. She's part of their squad. The slightly taller clone tells them, stick to the trail, follow our steps, and don't touch the mines. Ooh. Deke and Stack, those are the names of those two clone cadets, are voiced by New Zealand actor Julian Dennison. He's a busy child actor who's now 26 and still working in live action and doing lots of voice work. And he's trying to establish himself as an adult actor. So he's trying to break away from this.
See him in something?
Was he not Fire Fist in Deadpool 2?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Was he one of the kids in the Santa Claus, the series? Was he one of the elves with the patch?
Still haven't watched that series.
Oh man,
sorry.
Yeah. No, he's got a lot of credits to his work. Very cool. And I was surprised that it wasn't
Daniel Logan.
Daniel Logan. I was surprised. They proceed slowly, methodically through the dense forest. Deke telling them that when the temple transferred them off Camino, when the Empire transferred them off Camino, they thought they were headed for more training. Instead, they made them prisoners, took samples of their blood. Hunter asks why. What was the Empire doing here? Whatever they wanted, a cadet returns. At least they escaped before the facility was destroyed. Hunter is impressed that they survived out here ever since. Stack says, we're soldiers, or we're supposed to be. Eventually, Wrecker, against warning, touches a mine. Stack turns to tell Wrecker to
commence horror movie.
Commence horror movie, which they've dipped so heavily into that genre for Bad Batch. Like at least twice, maybe 3 times a season, we've gone into like some sort of. Stack turns and tells Wrecker to stop as a vine slithers behind him. Deke yells out for them to run, but Hunter and Wrecker stand their ground, firing their blasters at the huge living vine, and they are cautioned not to fire. They get hostile when you shoot. Wrecker quips, it's not already hostile. Both cadets in unison scream, no! Backed against a tree, a vine snags Wrecker, enveloping like a boa constrictor and hoisting him into the air.
Feed me, Seymour.
The squad leader quickly pulls his vibro blade and, leaping off the tree, severs the vine, and Wrecker tumbles to the ground free, the severed part and several other vines retreating into the thick foliage. The cadets call them and run off. The soldiers follow suit, coming to a clearing, stopping so that Wrecker can finally catch his breath. Yeah, you could see that coming.
I knew Wrecker would be the one to touch the slither vines.
No doubt. You could see it coming.
That's like looking at a child and saying, don't touch that.
There's 3 adults here, and Wrecker's not one of them.
That's right.
Now, when he cuts the vine, though, it does give off some sort of like
there's like an ichor or whatever,
dust or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is that like referencing M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening?
Oh, I don't know.
Where the grass tried to kill everyone.
I don't know.
Did not see that one.
It's funny that it takes Hunter with his like regular size knife when like Wrecker's got like a freaking vibro sword on his
right. Yeah, that's funny as heck. Wrecker can finally catch his breath. What was that stuff? The large trooper pants his question. Stack tells him slither vines. The Empire made it. Some kind of experimental weapon. They lost control of it. Deke adds, probably why they ordered a base Delta Zero on their own facility. The boys tell the older clones that they'll be safe in the crag. The vines haven't spread there yet. And this time, don't touch anything. Wrecker is glib. Yeah.
This time.
After a short journey, night is set in and the quartet arrive at a shallow cave in a high rock face. A slightly older crone tends to a fire in a barrel in the cave's center. Storage crates and a lamp aid with comfort. One of the younger boys calls out, Mox, who jumps up with a start. Who are they? Mox. Finally, Mox, voiced by Daniel Logan, voice of the young clones and young Boba Fett throughout all of the Clone Wars animated series. So that's kind of neat that they're are pulling from a few different things. Maybe generational.
But Daniel Logan as an ambassador for Star Wars has been like
That's
a true
why
champion, right?
That's why I chose the picture of him dressed like Boba Fett.
Absolutely. I mean, he's very active on the convention circuit. He's obviously a fan.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I think let him and Sam Witwer loose on the convention circuit together.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Deke replies, "Clones. We found them by the Overlook." The Batchers remove their helmets, Wrecker remarking, "Nice place you got here." Mox wants to know what they want. And Hunter lays out the quest again for Mox. This is the third time he's laid it out in this episode, actually. Mox never saw a girl around the lab, but he knows Hemlock. He was in charge of things until it changed. One day, the Imperials just started packing up and shipped out. That's when the cadets made their move and escaped. They were the only ones to make it out before the orbital bombardment. Even the other clones left us to die, Stack remarks. Said they were just following orders. Wrecker sympathizes. We get it. We lost people too. Hunter tells the young clones that they can take them someplace safe, but they need to find out if Omega was here or where Hemlock took her. He theorizes aloud that there must be some intel in that base. Deke looks up. One of the control panels was still intact on our last scout. He tried to use it to send a signal, but it had no power. Hunter asks if he can take him there, but Stack objects immediately. No way. That area is covered in slither mines. It's toxic. Mox stands and agrees. That's right. Going near those ruins is a suicide mission. He tells the two soldiers, "You're on your own." But Deke knows they need help and volunteers to go with them. Grabbing a light from a storage box, Stack calls after him. "You know the risk of going down there," but brave Deke leads the way into the night. Stack states to Mock he thought Deke was the smart one. It's pretty cool to see these kids like. So the whole time we've been like, what's the around the time of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And all the clones we're familiar with, and we're like one of the dream questions is Rex still alive circa that time?
Oh yeah.
And that's asking a lot because of how old he was in Rebels.
Yes.
But this gives you the idea that there could still be clones around of a recognizable age. Like, you know what I mean? Like I
do, yeah.
Like a 30-something clone in that era. Because all sorts of age groups of them sort of
getting churned out at the same
time.
time.
We don't know when the last clones were essentially bottled.
Right, exactly.
Well, technically we do.
Well, I guess so.
Just before they blast it off.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I like the other thing that this sequence does is it tells us that there were other scientific research facilities active, not just Tantus on Wayland.
No, absolutely.
They confirmed that in episode 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, in
Hemlock with one line, he confirms,
Oh, yeah.
just how far-reaching
Sure
it is,
and that they're experimenting with more things than just cloning. They're like tampering with beasts. They're tampering. With
exactly.
vegetation.
Here we are. Like if we could just lay down some vegetation, that would do the job for us.
All kinds of dark arts going on here.
Right. And then to lose control of it. What else did they lose control of?
Right.
What else is out there?
The Zillow Beast.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Don't let that one slip from your mind.
Oh no. Yeah.
Making their way, Deke tells them that he can get them inside the ruins, but they won't get anything from the console without a power source. Wrecker tells them that they got that covered. They just need to grab something from the ship. Deke asks how long Omega has been gone, and Hunter tells him it's been a long time, but they won't give up. Deke wishes the other clones felt that way about him and his brothers. You may be defective CTs, but at least you're loyal. As the trio approaches the Havoc Marauder, Deke is agog. Whoa, your ship has seen some action. Hunter tells him mostly during the war, some after. Deke ruminates that he thought he'd be flying one of these one day on a mission. A lot's changed. Wrecker appears at the top of the ramp, Gonky strapped upside down to his back, gonking away. He tosses Deke a breath mask. It looks like Omega's, but it's likely just a standard issue. Lead the way, kid. And Deke dons the respirator.
One thing here, when they first departed the ship, when they first land,
Yeah.
I was getting ticked. I'm like, oh my God, are you guys leaving your ship open again?
No, they locked it.
They actually
locked it up this time.
And they locked it this time as well.
And it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Because apparently
I was just excited that, we didn't get to add another use for a power droid this episode. Just that you use it for its actual purpose.
Right. It's not a gaming table.
That's right. Or a tea
gosh.
service.
A tea service.
Footstool,
Or
After a short
barbell.
time, yeah, right.
ship beacon.
Yeah.
The commercial for one of those would be amazing.
Still
After a
working.
short time, they arrive at the ruined Imperial facility. Deke tells them that there are slither vibes. I kept changing vines to vibes. Apparently, I
Slither
write that word.
vibes. Everybody wants a slither vibe.
Inside everywhere, be careful where you step. And after a while of traversing dark, vine-laden corridors, Wrecker complains, how much further to the console? And about the same time, I actually was moaning out loud going, how much, like, I can't see this episode at all.
It
How
was
much
dark.
longer are we going to walk through the dark here?
This is the first season of animation that I've watched on our new TV because we got it after the last season ended.
Yeah.
I actually stopped. I'm like, is my brightness up? The brightness on my TV, as it were, was set to 100%. I actually had to go in and raise the black level.
Right.
I had to decrease the black level just to be able to make out detail.
A lot of it I was screenshotting in the dark, to tell you the truth, and then pulling the image out of that with an editor. And I got some good results, but it was quite dark, man.
Oh yeah.
After a while traversing dark vine-laden corridors, Wrecker complains how much further to the console, but Deke can't tell because the vines have grown worse. Dripping and other unsettling noises have both Wrecker and Hunter on high alert.
And the air in there is just full of all that.
Yeah, that dust. And there's a few shots of it, just like spores or what have you. Something approaches the group from behind and snatches Deke, coiling around him and dragging him upside down to the ceiling. The deadly vine winds around his body and head. Hunter swiftly cuts him free as Wrecker catches the boy. There's a strange, echoey chortle combined with a high-pitched squeaking noise. It begins to fill the corridor, and as Hunter trains his light on the source, he reveals a creature that looks like a cross between a Geiger alien, an insect, and a Brussels sprout.
Yes,
a pair of these creatures race off away when exposed to the flashlights. Hunter wants to keep moving, but they are cut off instantly by a creature in front of them that leaps at them incredibly quickly, but not as quickly as Hunter, who blasts the thing in one shot. It takes it, though, and scampers out of up a wall and out of sight. The clones now at a full run, with the creatures slowly following the group.
These are babies.
Yeah.
Baby slither vines.
Babies. And they love their rows of concentric teeth here at Star Wars.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, between the Sarlacc and the Mamacor and now this.
Yep.
You figure you got a Sarlacc for the desert, you got a Mamacor for the water.
Yeah.
And this is like
the jungle version.
Yeah. And what did we get? We got ice. We got spiders in the ice.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Back at the crag, Mox can't stop pacing. Stack wonders what they're waiting for. They should just take the ship and get out of here. But Mox asks, what about Deke? Stack thinks he's made his choice. But Mox believes if they leave him behind, they're no better than the troopers who did the same to them. He believes the two clones that they just met seem different, risking their lives to find a squad member. He respects that. But Stack doesn't believe they'll make it back from the ruins. And if they wait and the vines reach the ship, their chance will be gone. Mox contemplates, where's the ship?
It's funny that the vines reaching stuff is only a concern now, and these kids have, like, you get the impression these kids have been here for like weeks, if not months.
Right. And they may have been moving the whole time, like back and back.
Yeah, maybe.
Back with the Batchers and Deke, the approach is mired with dank black pools which bubble gas to the surface. Wrecker remarks that he thought it couldn't smell worse, but he was wrong. Deck spots the console, and the group must leave from platform to platform before they reach the control panel. A large chunk of debris has fallen and blocks access to it directly, and as they exert themselves to lift the heavy mass of Durasteel off it, it tumbles away down into one of the murky pools, and it begins to bubble more intensely. Wrecker removes Gonky from his back, rights him, and plugs a wire jack from the panel, removes a wire jack from the panel and plugs it into him. The panel jumps to life. Hunter plugs a data pad on a jack into its surface with a similar connection wire. Hunter spins, turning his light into the darkness. He senses something before the rest. Something's coming, he tells them. We need to make this quick. More of those things, Wrecker asks. No. Something else. Deke says he's familiar with the system, but he needs some time to see. They always need time. It's never instant.
More time.
I need you to buy me some time to see what data he can pull up. Deke begins the download. Hunter and Wrecker take up defensive positions when suddenly there's a great loud rumbling and a black pool begins to bubble violently. Abruptly, a huge vine bursts from the black ooze, slamming down on the console platform floor, knocking Deke down the side as he drops his light. Hunter and Wrecker release a barge of fire, and the gigantic vine slinks back into the muck. A vine erupts from below them, and then another. Undulating and swirling, they dart for the team of clones. I have a lot of slides because a lot was happening. Like, it's kind of hard to describe them.
It's true.
The action, yeah. At the Marauder, Stack hotwires the door, and Mox leads the way up the ramp. Mox immediately heads to the cockpit, inspecting the controls, asking Stack if he really thinks he can fly it. I was top of my class back in Camino, Stack boasts. Mox, it's hard to say Mox and Stack in back to back. Where would we go? And his brother believes that anywhere would be better than this. Suddenly, he's distracted by a DC-17 blaster. Mox spots Omega's Tuca doll and stares for a moment before comm chatter breaks the silence. It's Deke. Mox, Stack, the vines, they're everywhere. Help. We need help. Mox, come in, Mox.
It's a shitty thing to be like, we're going to steal the ship. But then it just works out that we're going to steal the ship, like just right place at the right time, maybe for the wrong reasons. But
I kind of like the idea that maybe in the back of head, Mox wasn't fully committed to this yet, so that he was amorphous about the plan.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Blasting vines.
There it is. With the monstrous living vines, did I switch? I did. With the monstrous living vines pressing their attack, Hunter tells Deke, "Time's up. Get the data pad." Wrecker scoops up Gonky and they flee just as a humongous appendage smashes the panel. The clones scatter, climbing to the landing above to the hallways. More and more hulking vines burst through the floor of the ruins, smashing everything they touch. A large piece of floor gives way, sending Deke careening down, but he's grabbed at the last moment by Hunter, who pulls him to safety. They run down a corridor and slither vines chase them as they come to a dead end, and the corridor descends into a black, murky liquid. They stay the vine. Oh, okay, that makes sense. They stay the vine with blaster fire as a large sheet of wall floats by. The three leap to it away from the vines. Okay. All around them, enormous vines explode from the inky depths, and the group struggles in vain to fend off the creatures, when suddenly Hunter looks up and a bright light like a guardian angel approaches. It's the Marauder, Stack steady at the controls. Moving quickly, Mox opens the side hatch, lowering 3 retractable winch cables, dodging vines, striking from every direction. Wrecker and Deke both begin their ascent as Hunter covers them. It's quite fast stuff. The gargantuan vines reach up and attack the shuttle, ensnaring its wings. Hunter jumps to the winch and begins to ascend as an incredibly massive maw emerges from the black ooze, concentric rows of razor-like teeth or thorns snapping open and closed. Sarlacc much?
Yeah, really. got a Slave 1 kind of vibe going on.
Yeah. Deke makes it to the platform, and his brother and the brothers rain suppressive fire into the mouth of the deadly creature. Hunter remarks, "We need more firepower," and he arms and drops a thermal detonator into the toothy jaws. It explodes, but only serves to anger the beast. Wrecker notes, "It's not enough," yelling up to the lads, "Grab a case of explosives."
To think back in Jedi, that one little thermal detonator.
Thermal detonator is a big deal, right? Like
it's a big deal.
Grenade on steroids, right?
There are dozens. They feed this thing dozens.
Yeah.
Deke and Mox rush to the ammunition crates and drag one to the gantry as the creature draws the shuttle ever closer to destruction. As Stack struggles to control the ship, the other cadets tip the open crate into the beast's horrifying mouth. Saving one thermal detonator as the lighter for the wick, Deke arms it and tosses it in. This is my favorite moment of
where it kind of bounces a second before falling in.
So like dramatic,
like a basketball on the hoop.
Dramatically, the explosive ball bounces off a tooth and then rims the inside of the mouth like a basketball in a net at a buzzer beater before it falls, scoring the win. In a wave of dozens of explosions which light the creature up hot white, it finally releases the shuttle, and Stack pulls up and away as Hunter and Wrecker board. The gigantic vine beast slumps beneath the murk, grievously wounded if not destroyed, and the heroes and young cadets head for orbit. Safely in hyperspace, Hunter returns to focus. I at first wrote brooding, but I mean that's what he's doing. But he returns to focusing on the mission, data pad in hand. He spots the cadets and Wrecker in the cockpit exchanging war stories. Wreck laughs with the boy's tussling hair, far less grim than Hunter, who approaches the group solemnly.
No mention of so you're trying to steal our car.
right. As far as he's concerned, they just rescued them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Still on task.
Locked car.
Yeah, right. Nice job, hot wiring. Still on task. He tells them that he's been going over the data, and it looks like Hemlock transferred his entire operation to a new location. Mox asks if the intel gave a location, but Hunter admits it's only a mention of a sector. Wrecker says if that's where Omega is, that's where we're going. Hunter tells the boys they'll be dropped off somewhere safe. And the boys say where, and he tells them it's an island where you'll be well taken care of, referring to Pabu, I would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did we not have some serious concerns about the future of Pabu?
Yeah.
Like, is Pabu going to be like this idyllic paradise for much longer?
Maybe.
Totally sending them from the pan into the fire, maybe.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Referring to Pabu from season 2 episode, no doubt. Mox feels like being cadets without an army leaves him wondering where they fit in. So it's kind of like they have the same sets of emotions the others had headed to the island. So it's this magical place of catharsis.
I don't get to be a soldier anymore.
Right. Hunter tells them that they have time to figure it out. And that's the thing I was talking about earlier too. Like this age clone active in the world at this time means like that we could bump into a fully, a clone in their prime. So
Yeah.
Mandalorian would be super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mox feels like, Hunter tells them they have time to figure it out, to make their own path, to be something other than a soldier. But he admits that his and Wrecker's mission isn't over yet. Mox and Hunter link arms as brothers, and the camera pans to Omega's Tuca doll, lingering for a moment. Cut to black.
Man,
they're using that Tuca doll a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's the emotional heartstring puller.
It is
their visible
really
link
is.
to her.
Right, and her struggling with making her own. Her link to them is all through this creature.
There is so much that's happened off camera for these two. When I say that, I mean Hunter and Wrecker.
Yeah.
Hunting down a pike and getting that in.
Right. And I mean, if this is in real time, so let's say this is day 165 on Omega's cell, and they're just here now, like what has been going on?
They've been chasing down every facility they think they could go.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so now I question, I go back to season 1 and season 2. Is there still a connection to Sid?
I think no, not after the season finale.
You don't think so? You think they're done?
What the hell
Maybe
did
not.
you do, Sid?
Well, that's true.
They might bump into her.
Yeah.
Only to shoot her.
I kind of thought
Twice in this episode we were in hyperspace for an undetermined amount of time too.
Yeah, but we, since the Disney era of Star Wars, they played loose with hyperspace. There's no more.
They fixed it with Ahsoka. I thought they fixed it with Ahsoka.
They don't really give us any real indication of passage of time, though.
Well, there's a training session,
right?
and
I guess
because they take off in the ring ship, and then they have a 2-day lead.
Oh, that's true.
And then when Ahsoka and the whales show up,
that's true. That is true. But I mean, hyperspace, as we understood it in the 80s,
right,
with like weeks and months, and
game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we get to like show movies like Solo and Rogue One and the sequel trilogy, and we can go anywhere in the galaxy in minutes. You know what I mean? Like no appreciable sense of like how long it took.
Right.
My concern about this, they're about to drop 3 clones off of Pabu.
Oh yeah,
who still have their chips.
Do they? That's a good question.
They're neither one of them.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Time to remove it.
or they were cloned without.
I don't think they were, because they said they were
That's
transferred
true.
off
Oh, you're
Camino,
right.
and
You're
everybody
right.
that came off Camino had chips.
Which goes back to our question of is the chip automatically activated in every clone, or do they need the verbal?
They need the actual. Well, I mean, comics would suggest you need it.
You need the code phrase.
Yeah.
Which is what activates you.
So I mean, they could, you know, be
somebody in a bar could be talking about it. Remember,
casually talking. Hey, you remember what happened during Order 66?
This is the 66th time I've been here, and suddenly they're killing everybody in the bar.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. I'm glad that potentially, even if it's just a mention, that we're going back to Pabu.
Well, we know from the trailer that Fee is going to play a role.
Oh, that's right. And she's
future
been
episodes.
there. Yeah, she's been hanging out there.
Yeah, because that's where we left her.
That's right.
Before,
right. Our antiquities collector.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Liberator of, what was it? Liberator of fantastic artifacts or something?
Something like that. I suspect one of those things is virginity.
Protect.
And this episode, I was like thoroughly bored with the first time I watched it. And it grew on me after I got to know the boys a little better. And
I really liked the sequence at Issa Duran's castle. I like the fact
that's a great cold open
to revisit Roland, who was, like you said, the laughing stock.
That was the first time we've actually seen them be mercenaries, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I guess
we're sort of described the whole premise was that they were mercenaries in the wake of not being part of the Empire anymore. I think that was the first time we've actually seen them be
working for Sid and doing jobs for money.
Yeah,
kind of fits the bill, but they were always doing things like to the betterment of whoever they were working for.
Yeah. Like the A-team, they're just helping.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. That's right. And therein is episode 2.
Episode 2.
Does anybody need a break?
I'm still good.
Still good. Hank,
do you need a break? I'm
all right,
good
well,
to
then,
go.
hopefully you guys are still hanging with us, and you're ready to keep this thing rocking and rolling as we move on to episode 3. Andy's going to take us through that one here in just a couple seconds when he gets.
Do I need to remove my slides, or you guys can control that?
I think we can manage it from this end. Yeah.
Okay.
Your notes are over here, Andy. I got to minimize this one.
Some show notes.
No shows.
No, don't do that.
And whatever you do, try not to say cross whore.
I'm going to say cross whore forever now.
That's probably one of the better flubs I've made.
I want that T-shirt bad.
Don't be a cross whore.
Don't
be a cross whore.
I mean, if we got we could do a T-shirt. We could get an image of Crosshair and like put it like
in drag
away. Yeah, exactly.
Don't be a cross whore. Although that might offend some people.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah,
it was a completely innocent flub. I honestly
totally was.
I mean, I think everybody kind of understood that. I hope so. Anyway.
Alrighty, so I'll just queue up our little video, and it'll.
Oh yeah, let's run
officially be.
Let's have our official episode break for those who are.
See you next week.
Yeah,
or in a couple seconds.
Be right back. We're back again.
Back from our short break for the 3rd episode of our season 3 premiere.
Seems like it was only yesterday.
Yeah. This one's titled Shadows of Tantus, and it originally aired Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, alongside episode 1 and 2. Has a listed runtime of 27 minutes, but comes in at 23:50 without the credits and titles. Directed by Stuart Lee and written by Matt Michnowitz. The synopsis reads, Omega and Crosshair hatch a daring plan.
Oh, we talk about the that little Star Wars opening that we get now with all the new Disney Star Wars. Nothing new this season.
No, I don't believe so.
So I didn't include it. This
just the standard flash of droids and
Yeah.
troopers. But in this one, again, similar to the first episode, we open on a wide shot of Mount Tantus shrouded in shadows. And again, inside a room, we find Omega sitting quietly in the darkness, holding her cobbled together Tuca doll. She sighs and then places the doll down and stands and waits for Emery Carr. So at this point, she's following schedule. Like,
I mean,
she knows Emery's about to be here, and so she's standing waiting.
Yeah. What do you do though?
Yeah.
Did we ever go back to the window? Did we get another sense of time in this one?
Not in this one.
I didn't think we did.
No. But moments later, the door slides open and Emery Carr enters, wishing Omega a good morning before telling her that they have much to do and leading onward with Omega in tow.
Gee, not familiar at all.
They make their way down a hallway and it's flooded with stormtroopers and commandos in full gear. Near an elevator shaft, a clone assassin stands watch as commandos escort Crosshair and other clone prisoners out. And once past, the clone assassin enters the elevator for an unknown destination. We haven't seen this type of clone since the last season.
It's an interesting thing because it's only this scene. We don't see any more of this person, and
they hold on him for a minute, and then he goes in the elevator, and that's the last we see of him.
And the scene it's from further back than that, so he's a lot smaller in the episode.
I missed it till you guys screenshotted it.
I had almost forgotten that he was there. I saw a thing today. You want to talk about it now?
Yeah, we can, because we haven't seen this type of clone since last
season. No,
episodes 7 and 8.
That's right.
When they did. Another clone assassin killed clone trooper Slip and then attempted to kill Senator Chuchi but failed.
That's right.
And he would end his own life with one of those electroshock
devices
in his mouth.
Gum jobbies,
the last time we would see him is in episode 8 when Rex is basically saying, look, this is a new type of clone, and his numbers all scrubbed, and it's been a thread that's dangled since.
We had the line from Hemlock in episode 1 talking about plans for Crosshair, except he was resistant to re-education. Then in episode 2, we have just the goggles and no body. I read a thing just today. There's a fan theory that says this might actually be Tech. And now it's like, is this Tech re-educated?
Re-educated and
painful.
I mean, that hurts. I mean, great, Tech is alive and we'll do Tech, it's us, you know us, don't hurt us or something like that. But it's I mean,
isn't that more of just like Crosshair, it's us, don't hurt us?
Yeah.
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but it's a little bit of a hat on a hat. It's a cool theory. I mean, it would be tragic. Because like we all like Tech is so endearing.
I mean, the assassin in the previous episode was there for a reason. We saw the assassin because they were trying to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Just showing this person getting on an elevator
means they have more of them.
There's
right. Everything's on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. This was for sure
because they linger on it for some reason.
Yeah.
And we do get a cleaner shot of him in the trailer.
That's right. Yeah.
Past that, that's all we get for now.
So I'm excited and nervous at the same time that it might be Tech.
Could it be Ventress?
I had said that as well, but so.
Based on the trailer and the armor she's sporting later on.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We don't get Ventress in this episode, but while we're on the subject of Ventress, if we're going to get Asajj Ventress, are we going to get Quinlan Voss? Because we know Quinlan Voss was active in the path. Getting the force sensitive people away from the Empire.
It could be cool.
Are we going to interact with that path before the season's done?
That would be interesting. Like running into people like Tala Dureth. I would be down for something like that.
Yeah. But past this, we catch up again with Omega following Emery, who makes her way to the medical bay. And as Omega sits on the bed, she asks, why are there so many troopers around? But Gar says she's not certain. And Omega questions, why wouldn't you know? But she replies in a stern tone that the doctor will inform her if necessary. And Gar proceeds to take Omega's blood sample just as Dr. Hemlock and Nala Se enter the room and inform Emery that an unexpected guest is arriving. And Nalase and the doctor will be indisposed until he departs. He tells Carr that she is responsible for running the lab until then, and she agrees and notes that she will start testing the latest samples. Nalase tries to delay the sample testing, citing that she will do it on her return, but Hemlock notes Dr. Carr is capable of doing it, and she should start now. Just then, a commando enters the room, and Hemlock asks if everything is ready for their guest's arrival.
Our guest.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me now, looking at this this medical device that they're using to take the samples. Looks an awful lot like the data spike from last season.
Oh,
remember the data spike? The rod that they were.
yeah.
I wonder if it's the same.
Maybe.
Might be. Did anybody have any compunctions about who the guest was? Did you, I mean,
Well, he kind of hints at it, right?
were you surprised at all?
A little bit.
You were. I wasn't. I mean, as soon as it said guest, it could only be one person that attracts that much attention.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Unless it's Vader.
Well, so that is another option. It wasn't the first thing I thought of, though. I definitely thought it was the Emperor's coming here.
Or Tarkin.
Oh, yeah. It was Tarkin that involved in all the scientific stuff.
He was like, he's so beside the, that is a thing that you get from Andor, I think, is that the divisions were kept pretty separate.
I do like
I feel like he's on the board of directors, if you know what I mean.
I do. Yeah, I absolutely do. He's part of the inner circle.
Yeah. He was at the meeting when they stormed the base at the end of last.
Yeah. What I like about this episode, I don't know if you're gonna cover this much, Andy, but we get to the part where Hemlock is basically trying to cement his future within the Empire.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. The political machinations. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't
Yeah,
choke
good
on your
guy.
aspirations, Director Krennic.
Sarah says Emperor Palpatine and the Imperial Royal Guards were very cool to see. I would love to see the Royal Guards in action.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
finally.
Sarah makes a great point. I mean, the Imperial Guard, when we were young, Hank, remember they were taunted as being this like
Elite force.
the elite force, and then
Yep.
finally, Yoda walks in the room, and you're like,
Just
they're gonna go,
Clunk,
they're gonna go.
clunk.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Not Yoda level.
So
They're
I have to think that the Praetorian Guard fight from Last Jedi
Was
is as
supposed
close
to
as
be.
we'll ever get, and
you're probably right.
so in my head I'm like, okay, they can all fight like that. That's cool.
Well, we did get
I would hope so.
a couple Imperial Royal Guards on Mandalore.
They called them Praetorian Guard as well,
Yeah.
so they're like the next evolution, another sequel trilogy,
And you get to
next
fight an
phase.
iteration in the Star Killer games.
Yes,
You fight
that's
an
right, yeah.
iteration of the Imperial Guard, Senate Guard.
But I agree with Sarah. I would love to see them get some form of like actual action.
Yeah,
Does anybody really think that the Emperor needs bodyguards?
An
they're for show.
illusion.
Yeah, exactly.
They could be 3 Ewoks stacked on each other in a red robe. And it
They're like a
wouldn't matter.
holdover from the. We saw the evolution of them too. Like in the
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, they were the blue armored
Yeah.
Senate guards.
3 Jawas in a trench coat.
That's
But anyway, Emery departs with the blood samples, and Nalase approaches the console near Omega, and quietly she relays that if Emery tests her blood, she will be in danger, and she must flee the facility before it's too late. Omega asks if this is why Nalase had been destroying her samples, and Nalase confirms it. Hemlock calls to Nalase, but she further tells Omega to get to the lab and take her data pad, and using it, she should steal a shuttle and escape. But again, Hemlock calls to her, and as she walks away, she tells Omega once more she must go, leaving Omega behind as they depart.
So that tells me a lot of something. Like a lot of something. That tells me that,
Nalase knows full well
No.
what she is.
right.
Oh
And
yeah,
knows
yeah.
that
I got that
this-
as well.
This sample will test positive. This will yield the results you want. That's what she's designed to do.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
from the
that's-
very,
that does sort of say right from the beginning, the Emperor knew right from the outset of the invention of the clone army that it was for his
For its
plan.
purpose. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But she hid the results from him, knowing what would
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
And it throws back to last time when Hemlock is like, well, I'd hate to think that you were actively trying to hinder this.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guess what?
Well,
And her in the in Attack of the Clones being at odds with the Prime Minister.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Omega leaves the medical bay and makes her way to calmly through the hallways past various troopers and commandos. And arriving at the lab, the two commandos flag her inside, and she passes through that blue light scanner again and enters. In the lab, she sees Emery testing samples and inserting her own into the centrifuge. She also eyes up Nala Se's data pad, and Emery asks, is there anything Omega needs? And she fumbles out the question that Hemlock mentioned to Guest, asking if she knows who it is. But Emery tells her that it's best not to ask questions. Again, there's that indoctrination in her.
Yeah. Don't rock the boat.
Yeah. But as Omega watches, the console scans the blood of another clone before cycling to the next sample. Emery asks if Omega is feeling well, but Omega remains silent. And then she tells Omega to forego the rest of her daily tasks and go to her room for some rest. Omega agrees and moves towards the data pad, but before she can snatch it, Emery calls out to her, assuring that she can handle things without her before turning back to her console. And finally, out of view, Omega grabs the data pad and exits the lab. Above Wayland, an Imperial shuttle drops out of hyperspace, and then it is quickly flanked by 4 V-Wings on approach to the planet. And as the shuttle touches down at the Mount Tantus base, we see hundreds of stormtroopers lining the landing platform.
Again, I don't want to get into the weeds, but this is a little bit disappointing when we've already established in the sequel trilogy and we have the animation assets. Why is he not using his executive class shuttle from Revenge of the Sith?
Because this is a secret visit.
Oh, that's a good point. You might have to clear the executive class.
Yeah.
Clear the shuttle
because they're going to touch back on this before the episode is
Like,
done.
Yes.
Biden might not go on a spy mission in the Air Force One.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess so. When you're going to the most super secret facility in the Empire,
I'll take that.
Area 51, if you know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll buy that.
Exegol.
Well, there you go.
It's a cool looking shuttle, anyway.
It is, yeah.
As the ramp lowers, 2 Imperial Royal Guards depart ahead of the shrouded guest, which is Emperor Palpatine, voiced by Ian McDermott himself.
Wicked.
I think he's in. I think that we won't see another. I mean, we've had 3, including Ian, 3, 4 voice actors for the Emperor in animation.
Yeah.
He's probably
Including
locked
Sam
in at
Witwer.
this point.
Yeah.
As the Emperor makes his way past the troops, he's greeted by Dr. Hemlock, Nala Se, and a small contingent of commando troops. A quick head count tells us there are at minimum 650 stormtroopers.
Oh wow,
on the
you're
landing platform.
very ambitious to pull that one out. Wow.
Rows of 25. Right?
Yeah.
So inside the compound, Dr. Hemlock relays that they've quadrupled their objectives in record time, and the exotic matter facility has expanded, allowing for alteration and testing on much larger assets, like the Zillo Beast from episode 11 of last season.
Yeah.
Exotic matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The Emperor tells Hemlock that he will have need of these grand designs, but they are not the reason for this particular visit. And Hemlock already knows and cites, of course, Project Necromancer. And we last heard discussion of that in chapter 23 of The Mandalorian.
Yep.
Yeah.
But,
And there it is, carved in stone for us finally. Like,
yeah.
Removing all doubt. There, like, we didn't have one, but
Yeah. It's definitely connecting those.
I still like the revelation. Like you do. There's that sense of, yeah, I got it, or like, oh, I didn't think it was going to be that.
yeah.
But
There's
either
always
way,
the outside chance that Project Necromancer was that black ops thing with the dead stormtroopers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But Hemlock then turns to a control panel and inserts his key card, and the doors slide open to reveal the hallway lined with ray shields casting a red glow across the Emperor's face. Hemlock motions before leading them down the corridor, with the Imperial Guards and Nala Se following behind. Elsewhere, Omega makes her way down a busy hallway with the datapad, and checking side to side, she inserts the datapad into a control panel and activates the elevator. The doors open and she retrieves the pad and enters, and a mouse droid tries to enter as well, but she kicks it backwards as the door closes.
Boot.
Yeah. And then the little droid runs into the door a couple more times trying to get in, frustrated. I love the little kick, though.
It's great.
But, making her way through the cell block level, Omega reaches Crosshair's cell, and Crosshair asks what she's doing there, but she tells him that she's escaping and he's coming with her. Crosshair sits up on the bed and asks if she's found a weak point, but she says, no, not exactly. I'm kind of improvising. And he asks if this is a joke. And then she tells him, no, get the guard's attention. And Crosshair scoffs, that is not a plan. But she tells him, just distract the guards before scurrying off. Reluctantly, Crosshair steps to the door and calls out to the guards. And one trooper walks to the cell door, and Crosshair tells him, unlock this cell. And kind of reminiscent of Rey saying,
Oh,
release
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
bindings. There's no Jedi bind trick here. But the trooper questions this, and Crosshair tells him, I was giving you an order. And the trooper chuckles and calls back to the second trooper, this clown thinks he outranks us. And the second trooper approaches the cell as well. Omega wakes her way around to the control panel, and as Crosshair continues to engage the guard, telling him, I'll take the blaster too. The trooper mocks, what are you going to do then? And Crosshair says, you'll see, just in time for the door to slide open. And Crosshair lunges forward, grappling with the trooper. The second trooper moves to chase Omega, but turns back to Crosshair and accidentally stuns the first trooper. With a blaster in his possession, Crosshair stuns the second guard and drags the two stunned guards into his cell.
So that's a big indicator right there. Because remember we talked about that. They're not shooting stun blasts anymore.
No.
So for Crosshair to stun them,
yeah,
is almost saying, like, we talked about his sense of remorse.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he is coming back.
I think
Certainly he could click the weapon over, but the use of a stun blast by the one trooper would suggest that these are on stun at default.
Yeah,
Possibly, yeah.
well, it'll come back in a little while here. We'll double back to that.
Okay.
But right now, Crosshair picks up the second blaster and makes his way down the hallway to Omega, and he tosses her the blaster as they rush onward. Further down the hallway, Omega puts the data pad into a console as Crosshair demands she start talking. But Omega just says, I told you, we're escaping. And Crosshair questions why now. And she tells him Nala Se said to do so, but she wasn't going to leave without him. She informs Crosshair that it was Nala Se's plan to use the data pad to find a shuttle and escape. And as they rush out of the cell block and take cover behind a control tower as two stormtroopers pass by engaging in chatter, they overhear them saying it's all hands on deck until the Emperor departs, causing Crosshair to question the validity of their statement.
What?
But Omega responds that she doesn't know, and Crosshair says it's just another reason that this is not the day to wing an escape. But Omega reminds him that they're past the point of reminding her about that, and she notices Crosshair's hand shake again and asks if his hand is getting worse. He says it's fine, but clearly, I'm thinking this, all the shock treatments have taken their toll. And again, for a sniper, what's the worst thing you can take away?
Their
Right.
ability to shoot.
Steady hand, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that just on top of the heels of that tech theory, that maybe the re-education thing was turning him into one of those clone assassins.
Maybe because a sniper is a perfect assassin.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But, she checks the next control panel and finds that all the shuttles have been grounded except the Emperor's. So she suggests that they steal it, but Crosshair tells her it'll be too heavily guarded. Omega then recalls the ship that crashed there shortly after she arrived, and Crosshair asks how a crashed ship was going to help them. But she tells him that if the comms are working, they can contact Hunter and Wrecker. And then asking how she expects to get outside, she tells him to follow her, and they're off.
I love his willingness to just hand her a blaster too. It's
Yeah. Here you go, kid.
Yeah, like, again,
she's a soldier. He's fought against her several times, right?
Yeah. But now, like, she's not leaving without him.
Yeah.
He's squad, right? Like,
I mean,
she has fully accepted him back in.
Even if they weren't, it's the whole, like, they're in a similar situation, so the enemy of my enemy.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Well, but she's like, that's his mentality, maybe, but she's
That's
never,
what I mean. Yeah. No, she's
given
never
up
been
hope.
there. No, of course not.
She's always-
she's like the eternal ray of sunshine.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we shift back to the interior of the Tantus Vault Room, and there are glowing red lines in intricate patterns on the floor, including some Urakitat runes underneath the 4 chambers closest to the front.
Yeah.
There are no less than 23 human-sized chambers and 3 very large chambers in here.
Mhm.
And Dr. Hemlock informs the Emperor that these chambers containing these specimens are well guarded to ensure their viability for testing.
So I to put it all together, I guess I wondered what was in the pods, the chambers. And my first thought was I immediately went to that episode of Kenobi.
Yeah, where
And
it's
the
dead Jedi.
the preserved Jedi at Fortress Inquisitorius.
Yeah.
And I
You know
thought,
what this makes me think?
is that what we're looking
Do we have an image of the chamber from Rebels that I can't remember the Jedi. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. They lure them with a Jedi.
with Barris Offie's master,
yeah.
Luminara Unduli.
Yeah.
There it is. Thank you for the rescue. Do these chambers not remind you of that?
I suppose so. Yeah. On
I'd
some
like to
level.
see an image of that later on to see
Yeah,
how
yeah.
similar, because that might put the sort of the nail in the in the glowing coffin.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
it's my impression that these are probably Jedi.
I wondered if perhaps because my mind just goes all over the place. At first, I'm like, oh, the blood samples that they're not the blood samples, we're the clone samples, but the blood that's being introduced.
Added
Right.
I'm like, are they taking it from these?
Yes.
Right.
And these are force sensitive, or I have a feeling.
At
It's
least
out of doubt in my
4 or 5.
mind.
I had us in my mind. I'm like, we're going to get a big reveal on this at some point, and we're going to see a bunch of dead Jedi generals from that scene in Revenge of the Sith when everybody was gunned down, like Aayla Secura, Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Right.
Like we're going to see some of those people because
I-
I'm sure
I do not think they're dead.
you don't think so.
No, they need them alive, and they need that blood not
Oh, I
decay.
suppose, yeah.
They need
Yeah.
viable, loving blood
Oh.
samples. So whatever is in there is alive.
Oh, so keeping them in
Oh, yeah.
amber might be a way to just like keep them
Right, minty fresh.
But these ones are not in amber. They're
Mm.
encased
No.
in light.
Right.
The other thing that we talked about are these early Strandcast Snoke bodies?
I had heard that theory.
That's
I
where
do
my
not
brain
believe
went
so.
first. Now that I look at them a little better and we talk about it a bit more, that is where my brain went first. These are all some sort of version of Snoke. But thinking about it more, they're not there yet.
No, they
Like-
are still trying
like-
to build that template to get them a Snoke.
Like a functioning Snoke doesn't exist until Ben Solo is like 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
So let's put it all together for a second, and let's add in another layer. We've got the Sith runes, the Urkitat, which
Yeah.
we've seen Urkitat. We just saw it in Ahsoka, and
Mhm.
So does that mean that these are laced with some Sith magic?
I was going to say, let's add in an element of Sith sorcery.
yeah.
Jeepers. Could they be
And-
Night Sisters?
Well,
Because
I
they're
wasn't-
not all linked to these runes.
Oh, jeepers.
Is the Emperor trying? Let's put it all together. Let's presume for a second they are Jedi general bodies that
Okay.
have been reanimated with Sith sorcery, and that is supposed to be one of the vessels for the Emperor.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm spitballing.
I'm thinking you wouldn't get blood samples though from those just because our one
Well-
dude kind of turned to smoke, right? In Ahsoka.
Well, that's using Night Sister magic. Sith sorcery is something akin to, but different. Yeah.
But there appears to be some need of his original genetic chain involved. Like he can't just hop into anybody.
that's where
He wants that replicated M count.
the
He has to
medical
hop into Ray,
the
who
former
has his DNA.
right, and the former medical professional in me says all the blood, the drip blood that it's added, is the Emperor's blood. He is
And that's what
willingly giving up.
That's what I'm saying. But if these are Jedi, then it's Jedi blood.
Yeah.
If these aren't various iterations of, but he does say though, okay, let's go back a sec, because Hemlock does say in the first episode, one of them took,
Yeah.
but
not
it
not-
degraded.
right. So
Yeah.
this could be the iterations of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot. What did you manage to decipher any of that Urkitat?
The only characters I could actually make out were A, H, and E, but in no discernible time. Like if one of them goes, it could actually read health,
Oh, right,
but I
right.
couldn't get it to match up with the L and the T.
Okay.
But
I don't know if anybody else took a swing at this this week. If anybody watching knows what the Sith runes on the floor say, I'd love to hear what you have to say
they
about
are
that. 'Cause-
definitely Sith runes, though.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And they
You
also they're just like Orbesh. They read backwards, forwards, upside
Yeah.
down, mirror.
yeah.
They do. I need to dip for 2 seconds. Don't stop.
No, of course.
by any
Yeah.
means.
So we have had out there. There are the theories speculating that it could be Snoke clones.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Possibly Grogu, like Sarah.
Sarah had said, yeah.
But I don't think so because we're still pretty close, time wise, to Grogu getting rescued from the temple.
From the temple, wherever Keller and Beck.
Yeah,
took
wherever
him.
he took him.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
Keller
yeah.
and Beck got captured and is now, unfortunately,
And Keller
in
and
one of
Beck is
these.
one of them. Wow, what a way to bring back Ahmed Best and then nerf him.
Yeah.
I hope they don't do that.
No. But well, we do have more to break down on this at the end of the episode with some actual count numbers. And
Any more theories around the pods?
I'm gonna go out on a limb. The Xylo Beast is in the middle one.
You think so, eh?
Yes,
That's an interesting thought.
because there are 3 large chambers. Because if you look at the markings on the outside of each one, they're exactly the same, with a column of light shooting from the middle of the top.
That's true. Was the Zillow Beast that they captured though? Was much bigger than that by the
It
time
got-
they
It got
got
knocked down a bit lower after they got some energy out of it,
Oh, did it? It shrunk
because
down.
it fit inside the Star
Oh, that's
Destroyer,
right. That's right. I still think it's bigger than that though.
Well, you jam him in there. He's not comfortable.
Coil him up.
Yeah, he's not. They don't care about his comfort.
Just coil him up like
They
an
just want
extension
the
cord.
living specimen.
That's true. That is true.
But
Hank, do you have any other theories on the pods in the vault?
No, I mean, I feel like I'd like to see the thing they kept Luminary on Dooley in.
It had a glass window in it.
Yeah,
that we
But,
saw her.
I mean, we can't see the
face.
fronts of. Oh, I guess we do see the fronts of these because
I just assumed
we
that
do see the backside of the because they're assumingly they're all facing the center.
yeah,
maybe. I just assumed that those diamond shaped. I'm going to call them what I think are doors.
yeah,
Probably are on both sides of those. Maybe
it's
Oh,
possible.
maybe.
you've got multiple. I mean, I don't know if these are separate chambers that are attached to that central hub, or if it's one large chamber. If it's
Right.
one large chamber, then it's got multiple doors. I don't know.
But
I don't know. Well, tell us what you guys think, because we want to know what you guys think of this stuff. Because certainly,
I got a Hail Mary for you coming up.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
next
cool.
slide.
All right.
Do it.
So they approach one of the front 4 chambers, and Dr. Hemlock opens it, and he informs the Emperor that with more time and resources, he's confident they will have the successful M count replication.
this is the total. This is what's the movie? It's oh my god, it's the
Pulp
Pulp Fiction
Fiction.
moment. Yeah, open the case, but
Yeah.
you don't see what's in the case.
Speaking of Pulp
No.
Fiction, the Emperor tells him that there's nothing of greater importance to securing the future of this great empire.
No,
And whatever is needed to accomplish this goal, Hemlock
you
shall
shall
have it.
have it.
And Hemlock, he gets this twisted smile come across his face as the Emperor looks away. Here's my Hail Mary.
Yeah.
He's looking in there, and it's glowing back at him. What if it's Mace Windu?
Oh, that's a great Hail Mary.
The body of Mace Windu, not dead, retrieved,
Yeah.
put in here because of his high count, making him a very viable specimen, especially with Sam Jackson petitioning to bring him back.
To come back.
There's your window.
Is there, if let's just say this for a second, is there a window for him to get out of this situation and be active in the galaxy again?
By the end of this season, yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Then the same could be said of anybody that's in there.
Yeah.
So like that whole, like maybe it is like Yeti Mundi and Ayla
Or-
Secura and all those other.
Especially if it's Grogu. He needs to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
out of
yeah.
here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So
I want Mace Windu back as much as anybody else. I don't know if I want him back through this means, but I am.
I feel like if he survived that encounter at all,
Mace
he just-
Windu.
he just stood up and wiped himself off immediately after and wasn't
right.
like captured by the Empire kind of thing. But
And
who
when
knows?
got a cybernetic
knows?
hand.
I want him to wield the Force without it. Like
This
that
is gonna.
remotely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is gonna bother me until we see what's in there,
yeah,
and that's.
and I believe firmly we will see.
I hope they don't.
It's
don't
by far the
waste-
coolest thing in the 3 episodes.
I don't want it to be like episode there's 15 this season. I don't want it in episode 14.
No.
Like, you've introduced me now, you've got my interest up. Let's go do mission of the week next week and then come back to this the following week and show me.
Yeah.
Are there 13 more weeks, or is this like
15
are there any more
episodes
double
total.
episodes?
Yeah, we get a couple
Couple weeks.
double episode drops
so,
over the
yeah.
course of the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back here, we cut again to the centrifuge as Omega's sample spins another slot closer to being tested. But before that, we switch to Omega's room where Emery enters to check on her, only to find that she's gone. Only the Tuca doll remains. Carr sighs and then exits the room. Meanwhile, Omega and Crosshair have reached the Lurka kennels, where they shoot K9X1 upon entry before the droid can raise the alarm. And
Security.
I love this moment. As they pass the droid, Crosshair shoots it again for a double tap.
Yep. Bam.
Yeah. But like, as you see there, Omega's blaster is no longer on stun.
Oh no, it's definitely set to
But,
yeah, that's nice and red.
Crosshair asks what's next, and Omega tells him that they'll use the kill chute to get outside. It's protected by a timed ray shield, and they'll have to move fast or risk being trapped inside. The other lurker hounds snarl and growl at them, but Omega notes that they can use Batcher's chute. Just then, Emery Carr enters the room and calls to Omega. Crosshair takes aim instantly, but Omega implores him not to shoot, and Emery suggests that Omega should return to her room, but Crosshair counters to her cell.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Emery tries to convince them that neither one of them is thinking clearly, but it's not too late. If they return with her, no one needs to know about this, except those two guards locked up in the cell right now.
We're probably awake now.
Yeah.
Rattling the cage, maybe.
But Omega tells her she can't do that. She spent most of her life confined on Camino, and she won't stay trapped here too. Omega tries to appeal to her clone background, saying, "You're one of us," and asking her for help. Crosshair visibly adjusts his blaster at this point back from kill.
Click.
Oh, like off of kill back to
'Cause he's
stun.
there,
Yeah.
and he
Dials
clicks it back.
Oh yeah.
So again, paying attention to that, he's making moral choices, right?
Right.
But
Yeah, I guess so.
because like Omega holds a place for Emery.
Yeah, it was almost the come with us moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
100%
you were going
was.
to get that, actually. Yeah.
But Emery tells them that escape is not possible, and this is for her own good, before triggering an alert on her comlink device. And as soon as she hits it, Crosshair stuns her and Carr falls to the ground. But the light on the comlink is now blinking in alert as it rolls out of his hand or out of her hand.
It's too bad that happened because, like, given the type of character that Hemlock is, I feel like Emery's in for a rough time before
Oh, big
she,
time.
you know what I mean? Like, oh, you were there and you didn't right away, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have Omega's cell.
Yeah, seriously.
Omega unlocks the final door and the two rush down the chute towards the outside. But like you're saying there, Emery is at this point thinking this is for Omega's good. Like, we'll just put this back in the box.
Oh, yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
happens, we'll be okay.
And there it is. Put it back in the box, but you can't put it back in the
No,
box.
right.
No.
I mean, Omega's already won her over spiritually. That's
Yes.
what the Tuca doll being gifted back to her.
Given
was.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Emery is well on her way to questioning her own her
absolutely.
own life.
Yeah.
She's just not there yet.
No, because like without showing emotion, she's actually showing care for Omega. She wants
Yeah.
to
She's
achieve
a
it.
lot like a female tech, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But, elsewhere, the Emperor concludes his visit, and he tells Hemlock that it is imperative to keep the Wayland facility secret and secure, as there are many within their own ranks that would consider the work being done there an abomination.
Okay, so
Unnatural.
I got a point here. There's
They lack of the vision we possess.
so there's a comic where the Emperor is animating technology with like making force sensitive. I'm trying to explain exactly what it is. They're artificially producing force-like abilities using technology, not using spirituality or magic or anything. They're using technology to amplify beings into being able to use force-like abilities. And this disgusts Vader like it's heresy.
Oh yeah.
He hates the idea. And Palpatine mocks him, going, "You're that technology."
Ooh.
So do we think that these other people that would not like what he's doing here be Vader? Because there's one thing that Vader, like the rule of two, is that Vader one day will surpass him.
That's right. Yeah.
But his contingency plan is not that. He never took
No.
Vader to surpass him.
No,
he took Vader as a weapon,
a tool. Yeah.
a tool, until he could figure out how to surpass himself.
Well,
So,
at this point, still in the galaxy, right? There's still an illusion of the Empire is
Of
good.
real government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
guess,
maybe he's just fearing a chance of them rising up before he's ready for them to do so.
yeah.
You get the impression that they maintained the illusion of actual government right up until it was too late.
Yeah.
Well, that's the regional governors. We see when they give up the illusion in A New Hope.
Yeah.
We actually see the moment they give it up.
Yeah, the line from Tarkin about how the last remnants have been swept away.
Right.
Yeah.
Abolishing the council is when it officially abolishing the Senate.
The Senate. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is where he's mainly focusing on them thinking that this is an abomination.
In
So
the
maybe
comics,
maybe
Masamune
he's
tries to
referring
kill the Emperor.
I was going to say maybe he's referring to his political opposition in that sense.
Yes.
In the comics, Masamune tries to take over the Empire.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What, out of like ambition or
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Emperor Palpatine continues, but they lack the vision we possess. And then he praises Hemlock's brilliance, calling him a great asset to the Empire. And Hemlock chooses this moment to pose that if he were appointed to the position of Science Minister, he would bring unleashed glory to all the divisions of the Science Corps.
What? If he
So-
was what?
Yeah. So, like, head minister. And again, how many divisions are in this Science Corps?
And is there
like-
something veiled in that wording?
No, I think this is that, all of the stuff that was alluded to about how the emperor, like the people that wanted to be close to the emperor were all craving power.
Yes.
I think this is a really good, we've never really seen that before. We've never seen someone close to the emperor try to scratch out a better life in the system.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing that with Hemlock.
Yeah.
I think that his use of the turning of phrase of unleashed
Oh yeah.
points directly at like
Unleashing
a clone
whatever the
of
hell he's building.
the Force unleashed,
Oh, right.
a clone that can wield the Force.
Star Killer.
Yeah, man.
Listen, the last time we got Star Killer vibes, we were wrong. We
I
were
know.
so wrong.
I'll throw it out once a season to see where it sticks.
So the
see if the-
clone
See if the
assassin
poop clings
is
to the wall.
Star Killer. Star Killer's in the pod.
What I'm saying is, if granted the power to have all the resources he could need,
That's
he
true.
would unleash this technology.
And he did say, if we can't match or exceed the M count,
It's a failure.
Indeed.
Andy, you brought up a thing. We were talking in our private chat. We were talking about the blood, and you had proposed, why not Vader's blood? The highest M count of any known Jedi.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense to use Vader blood.
True.
And he would have access to it. He's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
do whatever
Every
you
time
want.
every time he
You're
gets
being
out of that
override.
suit, we'll just take the sample right off the needles.
Just pick a scab.
Yeah.
A good thing built into the suit to take.
That's
a
what I
sample.
mean. Exactly. Totally, there
Constantly.
could be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I won't rule out that the chosen one was a part of this plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And
there's
again,
so many.
it goes all back to how much did Palpatine foresee?
Yeah.
And is that something they're going to tackle in the Acolyte?
I mean, he's still grasping at these straws mid original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
according to the comic, he acquires Luke's hand for this very reason. His
So
hand is
they still
on
haven't perfected
Exegol.
it. Wow.
right,
Wow.
right, and then 30 years later, 5 years later, they still need Grogu.
Yeah.
So he's been grasping at this very straw for a long time.
And yet we would all agree, I think, that the version of the Emperor, the cloned version of the Emperor in The Rise of Skywalker would be considered more of a success than Snoke, even though it was like half a
right.
body and
There,
suspended on a machine.
I can't remember where I read it, but there was a theory that the Emperor that we get in Return of the Jedi is already a clone.
Is already a clone. Oh,
but they don't last long. And so he needs something that lasts infinitely.
Yeah.
Like he can pump himself into a clone of himself all day long, but if it lasts 3 weeks,
Infinitely replaceable.
Yeah.
certainly Snoke is powerful. He tosses
Oh, of course. Yeah.
around like a rag doll.
Yeah.
He's deflecting lightning and things of that nature.
Of course. Yeah.
He actually fights Luke Skywalker toe to toe, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. But, before boarding the ship, the Emperor pauses and tells Hemlock, "All in due time." And then he boards and departs.
It's just like, here's a carrot. Yeah.
He
We'll
works
get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. As the Emperor's ship lifts off, Clone Commando Scorch informs Hemlock of Omega and Crosshair are missing, and an alarm was just triggered in the Lurka kennels. Hemlock sternly instructs the commando to seal it off, and Scorch radios to activate the ray shields. We catch up with Crosshair and Omega running through the tunnels as the ray shields start to come back online, and really reminiscent of the ray shielding in the Phantom Menace during the Duel of the Fates.
Yep.
But Crosshair implores Omega to move quicker so they don't get trapped.
Run faster.
Yeah, and they leap outside just as the final door shuts behind them. Crosshair asks which direction the crash shuttle is, but Omega doesn't know. So again, we're winging this.
Oh, you really meant no plan.
Yeah. But looking skyward, he notices the Emperor's ship leaving and suggests that they follow the same flight path, and they rush off into the trees.
Sure, because a secret shuttle would follow the traditional flight plan. Anyway, it's a good theory.
Wait a minute. Let's just sit on that for a second.
Okay.
If they could remove Camino from the Jedi archive,
Why couldn't
they remove Wayland?
Right.
So maybe
at this point the Jedi archive is destroyed.
Yes.
I mean, it's in possession of the
Oh,
Emperor
so you might have public records that
may already exist.
Access. Yeah, it's like a known thing.
I mean, if the Emperor was so all-seeing, all-telling, and maybe Wayland was a relatively new surveyed world.
And that's just it, though. He's almost like his own foil. He keeps missing the mark.
Yeah.
The Empire is horrible, and he's doing all these things, and they're doing it in his name, and he is powerful. But he's almost like a sad sap. He keeps missing the mark.
Yeah.
For 50 years, he misses the mark. My all-powerful apprentice has just been cut in thirds. Don't.
All I was just trying to say is that maybe Wayland is, not. There is no public knowledge or public record of Wayland.
No, that's probably true.
You wouldn't need a secret flight plan because there's only people coming there are military traffic.
I just thought of something too. If the theory that he created Anakin by influencing the midichlorians, could that mean that his plan was to put his spirit in, having his DNA? Could he then put in a functioning Anakin? Would that have been the plan originally?
That tracks for me.
Yeah,
that totally tracks for me. Oh, the chosen one, the highest midichlorian count. I can work with that.
That'll do.
Yeah, and then now he's he's ineffectual. Like he's kind of cool.
But again, I think that's why it's just like a run-of-the-mill shuttle, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you say, Air Force One doesn't go on
No,
recon mission.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Yeah, and I mean, especially we can make an argument for those uniform guys, the comm techs.
Yeah,
we're just going to reuse the animation assets, but they already have the animation asset for the ETA class shuttle.
Yeah,
they had it in the Clone Wars, so
Yeah. But shortly, the clone commandos Hemlock and Nala Se arrive in the Lurka kennels, finding Emery on the ground. Hemlock demands to know what happened, and as she regains her footing, without hesitation, Emery relays that Omega had one of the data pads and used it to access the chute. Scorch checks the control panel, finding that they did indeed make it past the ray shields, and Hemlock calls for patrols to be dispatched, and then that the Lurkas be released. The chute's open, and the hounds rush outside.
Release the hounds, Smithers.
Release the hounds. But Emery notes to Hemlock that the Lurkers will not bring them back alive. But Hemlock, visibly upset, and again, wringing that hand like no tomorrow.
Yep.
He says the time for half measures is over. They are escaped prisoners. And Emery again tries to suggest an alternative, but he cuts her off and demands she gets back to work in the lab. She pauses a moment, then exits. And again, why the hand? Why?
Yeah, what's underneath that glove, man?
Yeah,
Is that maybe that's going to be the next mystery, like the unexplained mystery, like Yoda's
like his
species
Quado
or
under that
something?
hand or something.
Mhm.
Like right
Necrotic
now, he's just whispering
flesh.
in his ear. He's like, "Shut
Yeah,
up,
really.
shut up, shut up."
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little emperor puppet.
It's the in the same vein, the talking hand from Vampire Hunter
Yes.
D.
But Hemlock pauses a moment and then ponders how Nala Se's assistant managed to escape, further pondering that she must have had help. But Nala Se tells him that she's been right by his side, and he instructs the clone commandos to secure her in a cell. He then calls to scramble a recovery team, and the other commando exits. And we get to hear that all familiar klaxon alarm go off as troopers rush towards 4 Row-class transport shuttles and depart to search the surrounding jungle. Omega reads the data pad as they hurry through the trees, but and notes that they're getting a signal coming from up ahead. So, they're getting close. But behind them, they hear the growling of the approaching Lurka hounds. And so into the darkness, they rush forward, but Omega trips on a tree root, throwing her to the ground. Crosshair picks up the data pad, but instead of running on himself, he returns it to Omega and helps her to his feet.
Isn't that something, eh?
Yeah.
Mm.
So again, there, like, I would leave you behind. I wouldn't give it a second thought. No.
Well, we're here
Yeah.
now.
And he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. But no sooner are they back standing, but a huge hulking humanoid shape rises from behind a log, letting out a guttural roar. And we get our first look at the creature hinted back in the first episode of this season.
Yeah.
The first on-screen appearance of the Dryax.
Is that what we're calling this?
That's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
The Dryax were first mentioned in a databank entry on StarWars.com for Wayland.
Oh, wow.
That was added back in March 29th of 2023.
So that's good then. That's new. The databank replaced the old archive on StarWars.com.
Yeah.
And this concept art here was created for this episode by Clint Felker, with the original description being a massive bear/panther-like monster.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
And do we think so? I mean, I had made a mention in my episode that it was native species, but I mean that
they
may
say
not
this,
be the case.
No, they say this is native to Wayland.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So this is what the Lurka hounds were keeping at bay from the perimeter
Yes,
of
from
Mount
the
Tantus.
apex predator there.
I like it's a great design.
So chances are
I do
this
like
is
it.
what was ripping apart those poor soldiers who crashed.
Yeah. It's sad to be them.
Yep. But back to our action here. Crosshair raises his blaster, but the 3 Lurka hounds have arrived, and all 3 go on the attack against the Dryax, providing a distraction for Crosshair and Omega to get away and arrive at the downed ship. To their delight, the power comes on in the ship, and we cut fast to the medical lab where we find Emery Carr returning to the lab to continue testing, and Omega's sample, it's drawing closer to the top, and like a clock countdown, it gets another.
Oh yeah.
click.
Yeah.
But
Doomsday.
yeah, back at the ship, Crosshair asks if there's anything, but Omega relays that the comms are dead. And heading back outside, they hear one of the approaching shuttles, so they take cover around the side of the ship. The shuttle pilot, he notes that there's an odd energy spike coming in Sector 4 and heads towards it. But below, Omega apologizes, saying she thought it would work. But in an almost comforting statement, Crosshair tells her, "You got us this far, and we're not done yet."
Mhm.
Oh, good. Good for him.
Yeah. He then asks her if they taught her Plan 72, which she replies, yes, Tech had her memorize all the plans. They nod to each other and head off into the jungle in separate directions.
I like his response to that. Of course he did.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he did. It's a moment of annoyance, but yet there's an affection there as well, right?
It's a recognition, like, oh, yeah, I knew he would do that.
Yeah.
But the shuttle comes in low, hovering over the crash site, shining a spotlight on the down ship below. Inside, the commandos ready their the clone commando readies the stormtroopers, noting, uh-oh.
What happened there?
I don't know. I know what happened.
Goes white for 10
Did you miss a
seconds.
slide?
No, we just got to present something here.
Okay. Is it in 2 batches?
Ha! I see what you did there.
Wait. That shouldn't do that.
No. What am I doing here?
I don't know.
Did we max out?
I really hope not.
No, I mean, we've done slideshows way bigger than this. That
There
one.
we go. No, I think I know what happened.
Oh, did you edit after
Yeah.
I uploaded? So you need the newest version.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my fault. It's my fault and I didn't even know it.
So I added them to the slides late last night. I was hoping I could get them under the wire. Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd done an edit.
Oh, I was still working on them this morning.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, folks.
Oh, that's okay.
Difficulties.
That's all right.
Please stand by.
You can just do the drop down. It'll take your or click through them one at a time.
I can do that.
It's not that many, I guess.
Real
There you
close.
go.
There we go.
Aha, there it is. I'm like, what happened?
It's a great shot.
Oh, that's a great comment.
Crosshair saying you got us this far and we're not done yet made me smile.
Yeah, me too. Like we're gonna get out of
Like,
this.
he's coming around to the idea like you didn't leave me behind, and that means something.
Yeah, I liked it as well.
But inside the shuttle, the clone commando readies the stormtroopers, noting that they need those prisoners found, and they hook onto the cables and drop down to the jungle floor below. Searching around the ship, they find nothing, and as they move to the front hatch, they again find nothing but an empty hangar. And no sooner do they spot this, but Crosshair begins to open fire on them from the shadows of the jungle. His first shot goes wide, and he glares at his shaking hand, but he continues to fire and move, keeping the stormtroopers off balance.
I mean, if nothing else, he gets them to duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the clone commando radios back that they've engaged the prisoners, and Omega uses this opportunity to make her way to one of the drop cables. But before she can ascend, a stormtrooper arrives and commands her to stand down, and she replies with a coy, "Hello." But the trooper again commands her, "Stand down." But a Lurka hound bounds out of the darkness, knocking the trooper down. And Omega stuns the down trooper, and we find out it's Batcher.
You mean the anthropomorphized Lurka hound that's currently smiling at her?
Yes. Yeah, it's Batcher, the Lurka hound that Omega showed the kindness to.
Domesticated liability.
LH201.
And he survived out here. So,
She.
Hemlock.
She
She,
identified formally as a female.
Yeah. But, Omega tells Batcher to stay close as she rises up the cable. And meanwhile, Crosshair engages the clone commando in hand-to-hand combat, finally knocking him out. Once aboard the ship, Omega makes her way stealthily to the cockpit where she stuns the unknowing pilot. And the ship, as with no controller, starts to sway. So she pushes him out of the way and takes control. Now in control, she turns the ship towards the remaining troopers and open fire.
Yeah. Good job on that.
Yeah. Omega opens the cargo bay doors and Crosshair rushes forward, leaping aboard the ship.
I mean, speaking of Boba Fett being or Omega being the sister to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones, anyone? When
Mhm.
young Boba turns the guns on Slave One at
Just
Obi-Wan.
like Daddy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Daddy.
yeah.
I thought it was interesting too, and I don't know if this is a thing, and you played Republic Commando much more extensively than I did, but Crosshair appears to snap the neck of that clone
Oh,
commando.
yeah, I got that as
And the
well.
light goes out in his helmet when he does
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I never even thought about that. But I mean, that's definitely a visual for us.
But
Yeah.
we had thought, like, are they animating corpses and stuffing them in? Remember, we had thought, why are there so many clone commandos? There
Yeah.
are a lot of them.
No, that's true.
So
I
I was
didn't think there
wondering
were
if that's
that many.
part of on some
Yeah.
level of experiment. But snap its neck and the light goes out is, I mean, maybe that is the visual cue for the audience. But
It could just be something that simple.
Yeah.
interesting choice.
I think putting a light in your helmet's a bad idea to begin with when you're
makes you
talking
very
about
strange.
dark.
Yeah. When you're operating at night in the jungle, look at here they come.
That look always made me feel like they were cryogenically frozen inside.
Yeah. Icy blue
Mr. Freeze.
Hmm.
Commando Freeze.
clone pops.
Chill out.
But Omega, she puts the ship in hover and then goes back down to provide cover fire for Crosshair. And she fires on the troopers who radio back that their shuttle has been hijacked. At the base, 4 Imperial V-Wing starfighters are dispatched, and the troopers continue to fire up at the shuttle as Crosshair throws the unconscious pilot out the window and assumes the controls. Back in the cargo hold, Omega whistles for Batcher, and the Lurkahound bounds forward, knocking down several troops before leaping aboard. And the cargo bay door closes as the ship rises, troopers still firing on the craft. The shuttle takes to the sky, but 4 V-Wings are instantly in pursuit. And we cut back to the lab, and Emery is working away as Omega's sample has finally lined up to be tested.
It's midnight.
Yeah. The console starts beeping as Omega's image appears on the screen, and a yellow light is highlighting her blood sample on the centrifuge. Emery turns to see this, and it causes her to pause. So again, showing emotion without showing that emotion, right?
Yeah.
But outside, the base's turbo lasers take aim and begin to fire on the shuttle. V-Wing's still in pursuit. One shot grazes the backside of the ship, and inside, Batcher takes shelter in a corner. Omega cries out that they're locked onto them and she can't shake them, and systems are failing. But back in the base, Hemlock demands the ship be neutralized, just as Emery Carr bursts in the door and tells him to stop. Don't shoot down the ship. She further tells him that the clone sample supports a positive M count transfer with no degradation, and Hemlock questions that CT-9904 was ruled out, but she corrects him. It's Omega.
Yeah.
Hemlock snatches the data pad away from Carr and then barks to call off the V-Wings. And the clone commando questions it like they're escaping, but he barks at them for her to stand down as they need her alive. Smoke billows out of the back of the shuttle, and suddenly the V-Wings peel off. Crosshair and Omega make the jump to hyperspace, and they're gone. And we see back at the communication center, the red indicator has disappeared from the display.
Yeah.
Hemlock calls it only a minor setback, as he has the full resources of the Empire at his disposal, and they will find her.
He's about to get his own Star Destroyer.
Yep.
Yeah.
With that, Hemlock strolls out of the communication center, and Emery stands looking side to side through her tinted red glasses as she ponders.
Yeah, she's in that like,
Cut to
oh,
black.
what do I do?
Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I guess she saved her, but you also just put the entire Empire on her.
Man. So yeah, definitely the most exciting episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like direct connections forward and backwards too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously the vault stuff I think is probably some of the most interesting stuff that's going on, and certainly we have the most questions and discussion around that.
That little scene, it has implications for all eras of Star Wars. All at once.
It absolutely does. Wow.
Circling back to it, as we can see there.
Here we go.
3 large chambers, and I think the center one is housing the Zillo Beast.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. 3 of those. I thought that each, because I saw look at the man-size ones, and I take it as like each has 1 door, and I thought, oh, there's multiple doors on the central one.
Unless the big one is literally just like a Vader chamber that,
Oh, that's entirely possible too. They could all be like that for all we know.
It could be, yeah. But like, counting out the little streams of light coming to the top, and there are 22, at least 22, because there could be more behind that center chamber.
It's true. None of them appear to be smaller. Like I was looking for a tiny one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, like a Grogu sized.
Like a Grogu sized one.
Yeah.
Or a Yaddle, like they do.
Have
her body.
Did she get squished in the door?
She gets squished in the door, so they have her body.
Yeah, they have her material.
Yeah, that's probably a better description. Again, we're going to go back to this, and there is going to be some kind of reveal.
There has to be something coming out of this.
Man, I want to know now.
Yes.
I want to know now.
But if they did, we would never be able to do 15 episodes.
You're right.
I can't do an Avatar podcast because they released all the episodes at once.
They did all at one time. But we did get through the first 3.
Yeah, man.
And it's actually, you know what? I figured we're tracking right where I thought we would. It's almost 4:00 our time, so we were just about an hour per episode,
give or take. Yeah,
which I thought was pretty good. So, I do want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out of their afternoon to come and hang out with us. I know it's not our regular time slot, but things happen, life happens, and of course the release schedule kind of dictated that one. And we wanted to get them all in one shot so that we weren't taking too much time to get the show out to you.
Definitely don't want to be behind for next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we are going to be every Sunday night, right up until, what did I say? The
May
5th of May.
And then not a lot of breathing room before.
No,
and I'm assuming we're going to go ahead and do the Acolyte regardless of its quality.
More than likely.
Yeah. I don't even care what era it's set in. Oh, Doug. Hey, Doug, thanks for showing up. Great presentation. Thank you. Sarah, great show, guys. Thank you. Of course. Yeah. And Kay, awesome show as always. Thank you very much for watching. I always say, if you've never watched any of these episodes, you could just come to our show and experience it like an audio book and get in on the conversation, because we do love talking Star Wars here.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be back next week. Andy and I will be back on Tuesday night for Random Fandom as that continues. It's our ongoing series. Hank, like a mystery, may or may not.
I'm going to do my best. Things are starting to open up for me.
No, man. There's no pressure. You
I
come
get
when
it.
you want to, and everything is cool. Stay tuned for more, because there will be more.
There will be.
Absolutely. And
Same batch time.
same batch time, same batch channel. And like I say, whatever your thing is, fan on. And for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
Andy.
And I'm Hank.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.